Hello guys and gals, today on the Powering Up podcast we're trying something new, and Jordan will be walking us through all the noteworthy cards spoiled for this new set, and we will be giving our input on what we think the power level of the card is and whether or not we think it should be played, and if so, in what decks. So if you like this new type of podcast, please let us know, and without further ado, let's get straight into the discussion me, Nash, and Jordan had about the new set.
Hello, viewers. We're starting our Midnight Hunt analysis of the entire set, along with some of the cards that were made for Commander that are going to be exclusive to the set and collector boosters. We will not be going over the Commander decks and their face cards this time. We'll be talking about that later, just because we feel like we want to get a better analysis of what the decks are and what they do with the Commander, and not right now. I feel like it wouldn't be fair. So starting off, let's go with the Mythics, and let's start with the hallmark, the card that everyone's been talking about. Linden, Lyde. God damn it! Why do they always make some weird names all the time? Lynde, Cheerful Tormentor.
I think you were right the first time.
I think it's a Lind.
Lind.
Who cares?
Lind, Cheerful Tormentor. She is 1 and Grixis colors for a 2/4 human warlock with Death Touch. Whenever a curse is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return it to the battlefield attached to you at the beginning of the next end step, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may attach a curse attached to you to one of your opponents, and if you do, draw 2 cards. So, Lind is a card that they originally wanted to make for a while now, but they just didn't feel like there was a good time or good place to put it in any of the sets before until now. And where they decided that they're just going to put any made for Commander cards that they don't feel like are going to fit any of the decks into just set and collector boosters with the set itself.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just to like help create commanders for decks that a lot of people want to do. Like, for example, if this was around, they would have made the Energy Commander everyone wanted, the Investigate Commander everyone wanted. So, while I'm a bit iffy about them putting cards made for Commander and setting collector boosters, if it means that we get cards that people actually want and not, bad cards, I'm more than happy for that.
I mean, they're still not amazing, but yeah, they're better cards. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this card because this is my first time seeing it. You reading off the first effect, I was like, this is gonna be some shitty enchantment synergy shit. Then it's draw 2 is a really strong effect, so yeah, and it's actually reasonably costed at 4 mana.
Yeah, I believe the idea of it is that when your opponents will eventually die with the curses, those curses will normally just go in the graveyard. You kind of just lose out on your whole curse theme, and with Lind around, you get to keep your curses going as long as you keep them on yourself.
The only problem,
they go on you. They tick you once, and then they go on someone else.
Only one of them moves each upkeep, though.
What?
You only move 1 each upkeep, it says.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So if you have a large amount of
okay,
curses
that
on
could
one
be
player,
a downside, but I think that's
you get 8 curses on yourself. You might just die to your own curses.
Yeah.
A lot of that just has to do with you making sure that you don't put too many terrible curses in your deck. Put some nasty ones on people, but make sure it's not so bad that you're gonna die all at once.
Luckily, I don't think there's any good curses that do that. So
yeah, no curses will really insta kill you.
There's very few, at least.
Curses are more like a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I really like her too. She's interesting, unique, gives a lot of people a deck for a theme that they've wanted for a long time, and it's actually decent.
The cool part is she's themed, but she also follows, so there's 3 things you want in a powerful commander, and she gives at least one of them in card draw, so yeah.
The only problem I can see with her is there just might not be enough supporting cards being curses.
Yeah, that's the only problem that there might be.
Or at least not enough good ones.
But they've started printing curses outside of the Ixalan blocks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Innistrad.
There's definitely been more curses as of recent, so there should be just enough just to make a decent one at the very least.
Yeah, the problem is it might end up like Raynar and Foretell.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a bit unfortunate to hear.
So next card?
Next up is the second mythic of this whole thing is Avacyn's Memorial.
And here's why you should include it in every deck.
No, it's so bad.
It's fucking awful.
Just play Avacyn.
The thing about it is that I love the flavor of Avacyn's Memorial. It feels so rich in lore and Vorthosiness.
If it was just
why give only legendaries? Just put Avacyn's effect on an artifact.
Or make
like if you're gonna like reduce the effect of Avacyn, why make it 8 mana?
Yeah, it should have been like a 2 or 4 mana card.
5
no,
mana, just
God no, I still wouldn't
gives
play
it
that shit.
indestructible. That's a pretty strong effect, even if you don't want to admit it.
The 6 mana gives indestructible to everything. The Sola for Exia, right?
But you have to pay mana.
Pay 5 mana.
Yeah. Okay.
If this was the
Yeah,
burn
that's
effect on
still
all
unplayable.
legends.
Yeah, most stuff
Like,
that gives.
Imagine if it was like 2 mana for a cedh deck.
Yeah. I can see your point. But holy god, that card is so bad.
It just really shouldn't have been 8 mana. It's just so disappointing to see that. I feel like I remember when they were doing the podcast talking about it. I mean, the daily MTG news thing about it, and basically it was supposed to be like a tie-in of like a Chroma's Memorial. The thing is with the Chroma's Memorial, it's colorless and gives the full-blown effects of what a Chroma does.
Yeah.
Avacyn, you're forced to be in white, and you get a weaker effect
If
of
they were
Avacyn.
trying if they're trying to cash in on the Chroma's Memorial, it would have the same exact effect as Avacyn, and then it would also be for colorless.
Well, it also Achroma's gives the keywords Achroma had, so it could also give the keywords Avacyn had, being flying and vigilance, as well as indestructible.
Yeah, flying, indestructible, and vigilance to all creatures.
To make it more of a tie.
That would have been the exact same thing as a Chroma's Memorial, and that would have made this card actually playable.
Yeah, because the thing is, when you add a color to an artifact, you're making it
Not an artifact.
restrictive.
Yeah.
Also,
the perk of
means-
artifacts is you can run them in every deck when they're mono brown. This one is white and makes it bad.
also,
Like if you're gonna add a restriction, give an advantage to it being restrictive. Like not decrease it even more.
Yeah. And on top of that, Achroma's Memorial was also less mana than Achroma herself.
7 versus 8.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 7 colorless mana, which means it's easier to like cast because there's no color restrictions. So giving it colored pips, it would probably be like 5 or 6 at least, or at most. So Avacyn's Memorial just doesn't stack up to what they wanted it to.
Yeah, because of the fact that it costs exactly 8 mana, unless you have like budgetary reasons, Avacyn Original is just hands down just
Also,
better.
you can't even always consider this for budgetary reasons, because unless you're in a cedh deck, which is the only legendaries matter deck I can think of, it's every other deck it kind of just wants Avacyn, because Avacyn is a global and this is restrictive. Yeah. So next card.
Let's just talk about just the whole cycle as a whole, because I feel like everyone already has an answer about it.
I haven't read any
cycle.
of these.
They're basically
Start them one by one.
Yeah.
So they're the vision cycle. Every single card has an effect, and it has a flashback of 8 and 2 colored mana, which costs less, equal to the highest CMC or mana value of a commander that you own in the battlefield or command zone.
Okay.
So starting with Visions of Glory, it's 4 and a white for a sorcery that says create a 1/1 white human creature token for each creature you control, which is actually a pretty decent effect. That's actually pretty good. And the flashback of 8 and 2 white.
The problem
It's an alright effect. There's a card that already exists that does a similar thing to this.
Second Harvest.
I was gonna say except for opponents.
I was gonna say it's just strictly worse. Second Harvest.
There's a
is the
4-mana
problem.
card that has a similar effect.
It also reminds me of Elvish Promenade.
Yeah, there's There's multiple
But
effects
was
for
that the
cheaper
elf
that
restriction?
do the same thing. The only reason you'd run this is for flashback, and its flashback is overcosted.
And also, it specifically states humans, so you can also do this with like human travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the card type matters, but I don't know. The flashback's way overcosted.
Well, it does reduce equal to your commander's.
Does that
command
include
cost.
command tax?
I don't believe so. Because
Not command tax.
Oh.
Yeah, mana value on field or in command zone.
Well.
So it's 5, then it's.
Let's say you're playing
now it costs
Mingara.
5 mana to cast.
Yeah, it would cost however much less your commander is.
3 double white instead of 8 double white.
Basically, if your commander doesn't equal.
Okay.
Right, it's a fucking 5 cost as well for the first cast, which is just overcosted in the first place for that effect.
Yeah, the first cast is a
1
little
mana
over.
more.
Yeah.
It's still overcosted. You want to be playing cards on rate if you can.
And
Next
most
up,
of the time.
we have
Oh, sorry. go ahead.
Visions of Duplicity, which is 2 and a blue for a sorcery that says exchange control of 2 target creatures you don't control. Now, this reminds me a lot of another card called Wrong Turn, which is 2 and a blue for an instant that says exchange control of 1 target creature you don't control. And since it's instant, you could do shenanigans like, oh, while it's third combat, if it goes at you, you can just give it to someone else, and then suddenly you don't get hit in the face, and someone else gets their stuff. But it's only sorcery speed, so it's a lot less, like...
You can't use it as a combat trick.
Yeah.
Or reactive spell.
You can't use it as a
proactively.
reactive spell. That's kind of a downside. The flashback's overcosted.
Yeah, and you can't do it with any of your creatures, so you're really just doing it for shenanigans.
This whole cycle, the flashback's overcosted. It's kind of a non-consideration.
Well, they're trying to, like... I don't know, they're trying to make cards that make you want to run higher CMC commanders, because generally they're just...
There's too much value in running low CMC cards.
Yeah. But these cards aren't going to make you want to, especially because they're so underpowered for like they're being very safe with them.
Yeah. Which I think is better than just throwing caution to the wind and doing the whole fire we can ban it out later type of shit they have been doing. So
yeah, for sure.
Good on them. We don't have more Uros running around.
Because Uro is such a problem for Commander.
It's decent food chain deck.
Okay, so next up we have Visions of Dread. 2 and a black, sorcery. Target opponent puts a creature card of their choice from their graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's just really bad.
Wait, they just give you their shittiest creature. So if they have like an elf in the graveyard, it's like, ooh, you get a dork for 3 mana.
And the sad part is, this is probably the best in the cycle.
And reanimate is 1 mana.
This is flashback on it.
The flashback costs a bajillion mana. You're never gonna cast it.
I don't know, man. In a Crick deck, you can steal 2 shitty creatures.
Yeah, 2 shitty creatures.
It's unfortunately just way too slow, way too
So
clunky.
far, the strongest one would not play in anything.
Yeah, and they're all very dependent on what your opponents are playing, or at least the last 2 we just saw.
Which is next one is 3 in a red. Each opponent sacrifices an artifact. For each artifact sacrificed this way, you create a treasure.
Yep, it's Visions of Ruin.
That is that's also not atrocious. It's
But the problem is that you have to have an artifact to be sacrificed in order to get the treasure. So if no one has artifacts, you get nothing out of it.
Also,
but most people should be running artifacts. Every deck runs a Soul Ring. Every deck runs Crypt if they can afford it. Most every deck.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really commonly ran artifacts. I'd say most decks are running at least 5. The average is probably at least 10.
And also, it says each opponent sacrifices an artifact. You don't get to choose what artifact.
They get to pick, but this card at least refunds 3 of its mana if it hits all 3 players, which makes it. Actually, this so far, I feel is the strongest in this cycle.
But for one more mana,
Like-
you could just Vandal Blast.
For one more mana, but Vandal Blast won't refund you any mana.
Yeah, but you get rid of all artifacts, so you don't have to like worry about your opponent choosing. Oh, I get rid of a single treasure, and I just combo with my Basalt next turn. Or something
Yeah,
stupid like
yeah,
that.
I know, but this so far in this cycle is the only one I'd consider running.
Yeah, for Vision of the Ruin, I feel like you want to use it more as like a ramp spell than a removal spell.
Yeah,
Like, that's what you want to think about it as, not as a removal spell.
it's ramp in red.
But then it's a very situational ramp only. It's like a Carpet of Flowers that's way more restrictive.
Exactly.
Well, it's a situational ramp card that also sets all three opponents behind. It's
If all three of them have treasures or not, artifacts, and if not, it's a worse ramp spell. As
I
well.
mean, most of the time they're going to have it.
assumedly, you can't just say they. I mean, they won't always.
It is statistically likely that they will all have, or most all have, an artifact.
It also very much depends on like the power level of decks.
It does depend on power level of pods. This will get worse the lower power level you are.
Yeah, because a lot of people will, in higher power, not run land to ramp, and instead opt to play artifact ramp. So it will be better when there's more of that and less land ramp.
But it also gets better with the more non-green decks in your meta. On to the
And the
next
last
one.
card in the cycle is Visions of Dominance. For 2 and a green and sorcery speed, put a +1/+1 counter on entire creature, then double the number of counters on it. Now, this is exactly word for word Invigorating Surge, except Invigorating Surge is instant speed without flashback.
Isn't it also less mana?
Nope, 3 mana too.
Okay. I didn't know Invigorating Surge existed before this, and that's probably for a reason.
There's probably only one deck that would even consider running this, and it's like Voral the Hulkbag.
Also Verazal.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't even know
this-
what that is, to be fair.
This probably
I
wouldn't
played
even.
it yesterday. Not yesterday, on Wednesday.
It shows you how much you paid attention.
This probably wouldn't even be runnable in like an NMR list.
Maybe in a casual one.
Maybe casual, but like
Like
Yeah.
ones that are trying to like shit out Eldrazi Titans.
Like this is also be like good, this is really like a casual card, definitely the most casual cards. Like you're only playing this for +1/+1 synergistic decks that want to have a lot of counters on a singular creature, like Goldbriar, the Walking Grave, or again Verazal, or Hydra Tribal.
you
Like,
want to
in
go
those
on
decks,
to
just
the
love this.
Okay, yeah, I see what
Yeah, I
you're
think
saying.
we're done with that.
You want to go on to the new curse?
And then the last card is Curse of Obsession. 4 and a red for a curse. At the beginning of an enchanted player's draw step, that player draws initial 2 cards. And at the beginning of that enchanted player's end step, that player discards their hand. So we've seen these kind of effects before a lot of times. One time was on a dragon, another time was on a creature, and now we see on a curse.
Am I
Unlike
allowed
the other ones,
Are you allowed to target yourself with curses?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're a player, aren't you?
yep.
That's actually. Huh.
This is probably the best one though, as you were saying, I'm assuming.
This is really good to cast on yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you're like a really fast red deck, like a Kiki Chiki deck, or like not Kiki, a Krenko deck.
Kiki's control.
I know, I meant Krenko.
Yeah, this is so far out of. Actually, okay, the commander at the start and this card are the two that so far the spiciest.
Mm-hmm.
This is a high risk, high reward. It's kind of like it's like an inverted recycle in a way.
A little bit, but Recycle responds itself every card you play.
Yeah.
But it's the closest red's gonna get, so.
Yeah. So now we're done with that. Let's start with the actual set. So would you guys want to start with monocolored, or you want to start multicolored first?
I'd say we just start monocolor. Start with like if we can
Okay.
just go color. You know.
Yeah.
Go the
Color to
pie.
color?
Go the color pie, yeah.
Okay. So let's start with white, and start from mythic, and we'll go down to uncommon, down mythic, down to rare, to the uncommon, down to
Common
Common.
Zinni.
if there's any. So, first off, we have Intrepid Adversary of the 5 adversary cycle.
We can also go over cycles as the entire cycle if we want.
With Nash?
Yeah, let's do the cycle first. So, Intrepid Adversary is 1 and a white for a 3/1 human scout with lifelink. When Intrepid Adversary enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 and a white any number of times. When you do, put that many Valor counters on Intrepid Adversary. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each Valor counter on Intrepid Adversary, and this includes himself.
Yeah, it seems like a limited bomb and not much else.
When Nash told me about this card, I initially thought it was an uncommon or a rare.
Like, for me, I love this card. I think this card is awesome.
Yeah,
like, as a casual guy, like, I love going for go wide strategies, so this was really right up my alley, like, as a casual player. But besides that, you're really not gonna find this anywhere else.
Yeah, this seemed like something you'd want to pick up in a draft and nowhere else. I don't even think it might see play in Constructed, but it's not going to see much play in Commander. No, it's not even legendary.
Casual.
Or like a token deck.
Yeah.
Mm.
And even
Next
then,
up, we have Spectral Adversary, the blue one. It's 1 a blue for a spirit, 2/1 with flash and flying. When it's the battlefield, you may pay 1 a blue any number of times, and when you do, put that many counters on a Spectral Adversary, and then up to that many other target artifacts, creatures, and or enchantments phase out.
yeah, I'd say this is probably the best one in the cycle.
That's actually a really strong effect.
The problem with
It has
is,
flash too, which means this can be ran as protection.
yeah, it's strictly as protection.
It
The problem is
also
it's
is
very high cost to protect a lot of stuff, but I think that's a fair trade-off, especially in blue.
Yeah, it's only 2 CMC, which keeps your curve pretty low. It's
also a really awesome combat trick because you also can choose other people's stuff and temporarily keep them off the board.
Yeah, like when you're facing dinos and you don't want them to hit you.
Yeah.
Next up,
that's
we
good.
have Tainted Adversary. It is a 1 and a black for a 2/3 zombie with Death Touch. When Tainted Adversary enters the battlefield, you may play 2 in a black any number of times. And when you do, put that many plus some counters on Tainted Adversary and then create twice that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens with Decayed. As if you don't know, Decayed are creature zombies that can't block, and when they attack, they are sacrificed at the end of combat.
This one's decent. The problem, I think, is that, especially in Commander, tokens are generally used as either sacrifice fodder or blockers. So these tokens would only facilitate sacrifice fodder, at least for black deck.
This might be usable in a Scarab God deck as a way to get more advantage every upkeep. But
yeah.
outside of that, the Decayed is such a bad downside.
Yeah. Unless you're going into a very aggressive deck, Decay is just such a bad thing. I wouldn't consider running anything with Decay unless, like,
Yeah.
I'm planning on sacrificing it the turn I get it, or like I plan on attack with it once just isn't that good of a feeling, especially in an aggressive deck, because you want to like keep your pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And unlike the other adversary cycles, it's 2 in a black instead of 1 in a black. That's a lot of mana.
Yeah.
At 5 mana, you get 3 bodies and
No. 2 bodies.
2 bodies.
5.
oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, at 5 you get 3 bodies.
2. You get a zombie and him.
I'm counting the adversary.
That'd be 6 mana then, or 8 mana.
Yeah.
Because 2 for himself, 3 for each activation. So 5 is the first activation.
You get twice that many.
Oh, twice that many? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, that's slightly better. But
Okay, that's a little bit better, but
I misread that.
it's still kind of bad.
It's a
At
bit better.
5
than
mana,
I
you
thought.
get 3 bodies. At 7 mana, you get 5 bodies. At 9 mana, you get 7 bodies. At 11 mana, you get 9 bodies.
The best case for or use for this card is like a deck, like an Aristocrats deck that like has an Ashnod's out. So each of the zombies is netting 2 mana for their 1.5 mana that you get or spend to get them.
But that converts black into colorless.
Yeah.
And the main problem
I was
with
just
the
thinking
adversary
that,
is
I'm
you
like-
really only want to do it for like less than 10, because at 10 mana you're just better off casting Josu Ves from Dominaria, which has a kicker that gives you 10 2/2. Well, it gives you 8 2/2 black zombies with menace that don't have decayed.
Also,
Like,
you
it's
could
just hands
run
down
the
better.
card from original Innistrad that gives you 13 zombies for 10 mana, 9 mana.
8 mana.
Yep,
I
10
think.
mana as well.
Wait,
That was 8.
I
But
thought-
they come in tapped.
whatever. It gives you 13 bodies
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
significantly cheaper than this guy will.
The only benefit of this card versus that one is it's just whenever he enters the battlefield, you can play that mana. Like, so if
Yes,
you're
that's what I was
reanimating him-
thinking. So I'm like, maybe you can
Same with
graveyard
Josu
loop
Ves.
this card, but not even then, because in order to get the correct mana and the correct colors and the correct proportions, you would have to sack the zombies at cost to be able to recuperate your black mana because of how Phyrexian and Nash nodes work. So yeah, I can't even see a way to
extremely
loop this.
convoluted.
Yeah, this it's cool. It's okay in a deck maybe, but yeah, it's not strong.
Mhm.
I wouldn't even run it in mono black tokens.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Bloodthirsty Adversary, the red one. So we have 1 in a red for 2/2 hasty vampire, with has when it enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 in a red a number of times and put that many counters on it. And afterwards, exile that many instant sorceries in your graveyard with mana value 3 or less. And then you may create that many copies and cast those without paying their mana cost.
Is the number of copies per spell? So I get, like, if I do this 3 times and I exile Lightning Bolt, do I get 3 Lightning Bolts and the other stuff, or do I have to pick and choose
No,
which
copy
spells?
them once.
Once.
Each of them once?
Yeah, you copy each of them.
Yep.
You may play each of them.
Oh,
without paying
okay.
their mana cost.
Okay, the way you worded it made me think this might actually be really OP in Storm.
I wish.
This is actually playable.
The main problem is that it's also 3 mana to do, which means that you might be paying 3 mana for 1 mana spell.
But it's your graveyard.
And
It's
that could-
recursion, yeah.
If you don't have other
Yeah,
forms
it
of
is
recursion
recursion.
for it, it's just your recursion.
Or you might run this in addition to your other 2 forms of recursion in red
Past
based
and
spell
flame.
slingers. And yeah, this is, if you're just looking to get 1 critical card out of your bin, this is basically a Past in Flame. Actually, it's cheaper because it free casts the card from grave. So
unless the cards are 1 cost, it's the same.
yeah, but like, and the number of times you're gonna want to free cast a 0 drop from grave are like
0 cost.
virtually
instant
never.
sorcery.
Yeah. Maybe you have a pact of negation that you need to cast to save your butt. But then you'd have to have given this card flat. Yeah. No. But yeah, I think this is about as good as other red recursion, because red doesn't really have recursion.
It all just
Yeah,
depends on what
I
you.
forget that it is red.
Yeah.
This is, yeah, I'd say this, I might actually consider playing this in a couple decks.
The only thing to consider is that you need to, like, if you're doing a spell-based red deck, you need to think about what your instants and sorceries that you could even get off of it are,
Mhm.
and make sure that you have enough or a high enough density of 1 through 3 costs to
Yeah.
get with it.
Yeah, that is the biggest problem. It only hits 3 costs, but there are plenty of 3 costs, like the
Your rituals.
Joy Jessica's Will is a 3 cost.
Yeah.
Light Up the Stage is a
Yeah.
is a
cost.
3 cost, and that gets you 2 cards.
You could commune with Lava X0.
Oh yeah, you could commune with Lava X0. That's a really that's
Spicy
something
play.
you're able to do. All the red writs are 3 costs.
or less. Well, no, there's
They're less. They're 2 costs.
There's a
So
few that
this at
aren't.
least nets even if you're
Their
running a
seating
deck.
sandwich is 3.
There's
Yes.
also the Magma Geysers, which is 5.
Oh yeah, I forgot that one. Yeah.
So yeah, there's plenty of targets in red to hit with this. Plus, if you're running other colors like blue, you get like
Yeah.
other.
Draw and stuff.
Yeah,
I think we talked about it too long now.
I think this card's really good.
Yeah.
This is so
I've seen
far
it in
my.
Newer Light.
This is so far like an actually decent card in this set. And the
Next
blue
up,
one's
we have,
good.
Yeah, I like blue too. Next up, we have Primal Adversary. Unlike the other ones, it's actually 2 in a green for a 4/3 trampling wolf. That says when Primal Adversary enters the battlefield, pay 1 in a green a number of times, put that many plus some counters on Primal Adversary, and then up to that many target lands you control become 3/3 wolf creatures with haste that are still lands. Note that they do not get untapped.
It's a good card on rate, but I don't think there would ever be a case that I would want to run it, even in a wolf deck, like a tribal deck.
Wait, what? So this animates lands, right?
It animates your land specifically.
It doesn't give them indestructible, correct?
No, it gives them haste though, so if you don't tap them, you can still attack with them that turn, or tap them for mana if you want.
Like, the only time I ever want to see this card is like in a werewolf tribal deck or in a wolf tribal deck. If you want to try
This might be good as a lands deck finisher, and kind of in the same way that Noon, the Warless Sparkness, is a decent lands finisher, just because being able to create pressure off of cards that usually don't create pressure is okay, but yeah, it's not good. There's also other cards that's competing with, like Avengers Zendikar.
Yeah, that's the main one.
So it's
Scoot Swarm even.
Yeah, Scoot Swarm now is a really good finisher.
Scoot Swarm just shits out himself a ton.
So yeah, this is okay as a budgetary replacement because it's going to be new, so it's going to be cheap.
Scoot Swarm is cheap as hell though. It's like 50 cents probably.
No way.
I'm pretty sure it's like $5 right now.
It's probably like $1. I'll look it up right now. I have another window open. But it's a mythic rare though. That's the thing I'm saying. It's probably not going to be cheaper than Scoot Swarm regardless.
Yeah, it's $4.35 plus 78 shipping, so it's $5.
Yeah,
$5.15 on TCG.
But still, I was just trying to say that. Primal Adversary is a mythic that is at the worst a 4/3 trampler for 3. It's
just bad.
If there's a mono green deck in standard, it's going to probably be played there.
It's a decent on rate card.
So it probably
then it also has the
cheaper
anime
than like Scoot Swarm or even Avenger, because that was reprinted a lot recently.
Yep. I think this card is going to be. This card's decent in some decks. It's not like standout, and it's not. None of the decks it's good in are competitive, so it's kind of a casual card. Yeah.
At best.
Okay, next up, let's continue back to the white cycle, like the white cards, and starting from the Mythics. We next have Guardian Savior, 3 double white for a 3/3 flying angel. When Guardian Savior enters the battlefield, if you have cast it, return up to 2 target creature cards with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
It's terrible.
What the fuck?
They tried. But
this is
language.
It's fucking terrible.
We've already cussed this video, Jordan.
Damn.
Multiple times.
Okay, fine. Fuck it.
Fine, fuck it.
Okay.
This card is really, really, really god awful.
Yeah, for 1 mana you can get Sunny T, which is just better.
It's way more restrictive than it should be.
Sun Titan Stronger,
Karmic
Revelark and Karmic Guide are like same mana cost and less restrictive.
Play, so evoking it is 6.
Oh, okay, whatever. They're both stronger. They're less restrictive. They don't have to be cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
the cast restriction is garbage.
If it wasn't for the cast, like I don't think it needed the cast restriction. For a Mythic, it did not need it.
Yeah, like Revelark and Revelark was a rare when it was first printed, and
that was in Morningtide though, when that was only rare. But every time it's been reprinted after, which has obviously not been standard. But
it's been M11, rare. Right?
No.
M15, I believe.
Yeah, it was printed in Core Set. It's been in standard recently.
Revelark?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Revelark.
Karmic Guide hasn't been reprinted. One of the two.
It was in Modern Masters 15.
It was in No, it was in Eternal Masters as well, or Ultimate Masters, whatever that's the Infinity symbol.
Oh yeah, that Ultimate Masters.
Ultimate Masters. It was in that, and it was a rare. And I'd say it's more stronger because, I mean, you could combo with Revelark. You can't combo with this god awful card.
Yeah.
Next up is Enduring Angel. It's not that great. I don't even want to talk about it.
It's what's the backside of it even do? Read off the card, I guess, if we care.
Enduring Angel is a 2/3 white for a flying double strike angel 3/3. You have hexproof. If your life total will be reduced to 0 or less, instead transform Enduring Angel. Your life total becomes 3, and Enduring Angel didn't transform this way, you lose the game. And the reason why it does that is so you can't do transformation shenanigans. And she transformed to Angelic Enforcer, which is a flying, you have hexproof, star, where its power and toughness are each equal to your life total, and whenever she attacks, you double your life total.
Best case scenario, it's good for life gain, but how would you flip it?
Yeah,
it's a confused card.
The card only flips if you've already fucked up to the point where you're gonna die, and if you're there as a life gain deck, how? Yeah, no.
Plus, when it flips, your life total becomes 3, so they just bolt you if they're running bolts.
Yeah.
That'd be funny as
well. You do have hexproof, so.
Yeah, you still do have hexproof.
No. They bolt the angel then, and then they bolt you.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the thing. Like, she doesn't have flash. She doesn't have any protection on herself. It's just so clunky and bad. Like, I don't even know if it's gonna see any play in standard.
I doubt it's play anywhere.
Yeah, this seems like one of those
when it flips, it loses double strike for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because they don't want the doubling of life total to trigger.
No, it's a attack trigger, not a damage trigger.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
they're fucking
they
stoned.
When you attack, it becomes a 6/6. Ooh.
When he gets pissed off, it forgets how to swing the sword an additional time.
True.
Okay, blue cards, right?
No, next up, we're on the rares.
Well, wait, I thought we were going...
Oh, you want to do this the Mythics first? Okay, it's the Mythics first.
Okay.
These Mythics are
blue
more
Mythics next are Lier, Disciple of the Drowned. A 5 mana, 3 double blue, 3/4 human wizard. Spells can't be countered, and each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback. The flashback cost is equal to that card's mana cost. It's pretty potent.
It could have been such a good control card.
I'm pretty sure that's why he said kills can't be countered. So you can't throw BS like that.
This is okay for combo decks. It's a little too much mana, but it's
like I'm
actually
in love with this
wait.
card.
If we consider Past in Flame, right, as the standard for giving your graveyard flashback, this is about on rate. The other effect is in 1 blue additional, which
this is for a permanent thing as well.
Spells can't be countered. That makes. Huh.
Like the double-edged sword, where it's like
really
you can't
good.
counter other people's stuff, but they can't counter yours. So it's like if you're just purely a combo deck that just doesn't want to have its combo destroyed, Lier is just actually pretty freaking dope.
It's really good for
the only problem is you want to be able to control the game until you combo, so this has to be played on combo turn, and that means you're committing 5 mana plus any control to resolve this pre-combo.
Well, it's like a Past in Flame thing of it like that. It's just
You can do like a high tide list.
But I mean, usually, yeah, I guess. And I guess you only have to protect your finisher as long as you have enough mana to run multiple lines. Yeah, it's a good card. I like it.
It also means that people can't counter your Psych Rift because you're in blue.
Yeah, this is actually a good card.
Next up, we have Poppet Stitcher, 2 and a blue for a 2/3 human wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. And beginning your upkeep, if you control 3 or more creature tokens, you transform Poppet Stitcher. Well, you may, you don't have to. Into Poppet Factory, an artifact that has creature tokens you control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 3/3. And beginning your upkeep, you may transform Poppet Factory back into Poppet Stitcher.
This card is almost really good.
Blue.
The problem with it, in my opinion at least, is that Poppet Factory makes your tokens lose all abilities rather than just lose decay.
Yeah.
So it feels like a card that wants to be ran in a Talran deck. But then he makes your birds lose flying, and then you have weaker blockers now because...
Oh, I was thinking this wants to be ran in like Rooftop Storm, like zombie jank.
Well, whenever you cast an instant sorcery card or spell,
Yeah.
you create the token. I don't know how much... I don't know about Rooftop Storm personally.
I think Rooftop Storm, whenever you cast a spell, it creates zombies relative.
No, it lets you zombies cast for free.
Oh.
It's zombies you cast for free. That's something else entirely. But
Okay.
yeah, Papa Citra is really good in decks that
Then I'm
want
mixing
to
up
just
spells.
make multiple tokens over and over again.
Yeah.
But due to the effect that it loses all abilities, it means that you can't give your creatures haste. You can't give them flying. If they already had flying, they lose flying. So it really just, like, it's almost perfect. Like, you really want to play it like a Zada kind of like deck where it's like you want to have a lot of bodies to do something with it.
But even then, like, the factory, or it's switching to the factory doesn't matter in that case.
Yeah, it's like you really just want Papa Citra for Papa Citra.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of unfortunate because if it got rid of decay, it would make those bodies that he creates actually good. But yeah.
I mean,
Okay, let's move on.
yeah,
Walking.
Yeah, you have it out.
that card's kind of bad.
Thank you for that valiant input.
I was trying to think that whole time on how to make it good, and I'm like, yeah, there's just
Remove decay.
nothing.
Remove everything. It's like all they had to do.
No, with its current line of text, I was like searching up cards, and I'm like, yeah, there's nothing in like blue plus that like. Yeah,
And if they can't have abilities, does that mean if you fucking cast Triumph, they won't get the infect because it was removed?
Yep.
Yeah. There's not a way to like go out with them unless you have like
A massive
Also-
army and just go out.
Cathar's Crusade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next up in the Black Mythics, Lord of the Forsaken, a 6 mana, 4 double black, 6/6 demon with flying and trample. It has pay 1 black, stack another creature, target player mills 3 cards. Pay 1 life, add 1 colorless mana. Spend this mana only to cast spells from your graveyard.
Pretty good.
Pretty freaking good. The only downside is that it's only says you can only use it to cast spells and not activate abilities, so it stops some stuff, but you can still use flashback, cast it from like Uldrotha.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty freaking disgustingly good.
Mm.
What's the sacrifice outlet? Or it's a sacrifice outlet, which is always good.
Like, sure, it costs mana for it, but it's like it fuels your graveyard, and it's still a sack outlet. Like, no one doesn't like a sack outlet. Like,
It's gonna be really
the
good.
sack
For, like,
outlet is just so good.
yeah, it's gonna be really good for like Uldrotha and Carador style decks. I feel.
This is
And, like,
okay
casual
at
catch
best.
Yeah.
The thing that this reminds me of is Treasonous Ogre,
A little bit. Yeah.
but this is just I don't know. It has a sack outlet that's okay, kind of has self-mill on it, and then it has a really shitty Treasonous Ogre effect. It's trying to do a whole lot of things, and that's why its mana cost is bloated given its power. For some reason, this feels like a 4 or 5 CMC card, but it's up here at 6.
Even though.
But the thing is, it has channel, but for graveyards as an ability.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty freaking disgusting.
Yeah.
Like Treasonous Ogre is balanced around it being 3 life, and you can pay that mana for anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is 1 life for your graveyard, which is,
Yeah, but I'm saying, I don't know.
I see what you're saying. Just
It feels bloated. It's probably too high of CMC to justify running it in most things, in my opinion.
in a competitive sense, I would completely agree with you.
Like for a high power casual or a casual scene, this card will make names.
It just depends on
Next
the deck.
up, yeah. So next up we have Jaren, Corrupted Bishop, 2 and a black for a 3 mana human cleric 2/3. Whenever Jaren, Corrupted Bishop enters the battlefield or another non-token human you control dies, lose 1 life and create a 1/1 white human creature token. You may pay 2 colors to give target human you control lifelink until end of turn. And then at your end step, at the beginning of your end step, if you have exactly 13 life, you may pay 4 and 2 black to transform Jaren into Ormondal the Corruptor, which is a 6/6 demon with flying, trample, lifelink, and sacrifice another creature, draw a card.
Too many hoops.
Too many hoops.
Yeah.
Like Ormondal, the other side is so strong, but the fact they had to reduce your life total down to 13 and then wait till your end step to then pay an additional 6 mana just to flip it over is just so much work.
Yeah, if you could just straight up cast the demon side, that'd be probably better.
Yeah.
I get the 13 is unlucky theme, but it's like, god damn, that's so hard to do.
And also, once
fact
people
of,
see it, they're not going to want you to be at 13.
Yeah, and then there's the fact that you're in mono black, which means you want to be like a aristocrat deck. Even Ormondal himself is like, sacrifice creature, draw a card. That's aristocratic things. So you want to run aristocratic effects, like you want to run your Blood Artist, Zulaports, and that's going to gain you life, which means you're not incentivized to be at 13 life, but at the same time you want to be at 13 life.
Another problem is
so weird.
Whenever another human or non-token human you control dies, you have to lose the 1 life and create a token. You don't have a choice.
Yep.
So if you're at 13, someone sees that, they blow up one of your humans, you're at 12 now.
So finicky.
Yeah.
Yep. It unfortunately seems underpowered.
Next up, we have the Mythic Massacre, a legendary enchantment for X 2 black. When Mythic Massacre enters the battlefield, each creature gets -X/-X until end of turn, and it also has 2 abilities. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Whenever a creature an opponent control dies, you gain 1 life.
Yeah. I'm not sure how to feel about this one. I think it's arguably better than Black Sun Zenith if you want to like relate it to a board wipe.
Yes.
But if you want to relate it to an aristocrat style effect, which I feel like that's what they're going for with the other 2 effects, it's just worse than a Zulaport.
But it's
For
another
me-
Zulaport that you can run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, it's just like a Zulaport with more options.
It's a Zulaport that can choose to board wipe on entry.
Which is honestly not bad, and it's an enchantment too, which is really
Makes it
crazy.
harder
Like,
to
when
remove,
I first read
yeah.
it, I thought it was an artifact, but no, it's an enchantment. Like, god, it's disgusting.
That's actually a really strong card. I like it, yeah.
Next up, we're on to the red mythic with Moonveil Regent, a 4-mana, 3 and a red, 4/4 flying dragon. With whenever you cast a spell, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw a card for each color of that spell that you cast. And whenever Moonveil Regent dies, it deals X damage to any target where X is the number of colors among permanents you control. At first, I was kind of like meh on this, but when you think about it, it really allows you to dig through your deck
Yeah.
really hard.
It's the same idea behind Recycle.
You're only running
Yeah.
this in Bluebird decks, though.
Or Mono Red is like one of the few ways to cycle your deck.
Like if you're really only running this deck and that just wants to completely just cycle through the deck over and over again. Like let's say you're just down to 1 card and you just play 1 DMC, 1 color spell. So play this, get a new hand, 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 boom, get a new
Yeah.
card.
The problem is you need to have a
completely-
high enough density of cards that have enough colors to cycle enough cards to get more cards with enough colors. And you need to have enough mana production to facilitate this.
Yeah.
So like, if you're not playing fucking Charm Tribal with that 1 artifact dragon, I don't see this being a realistic card. Or like you're playing Dragon or something similar. Like, I don't know. And even then, those aren't really decks that want to cycle through them fast. They're just Stompy decks.
Like a lot of people are saying that this has a lot of potential in like Storm lists that just want to just
Yeah.
completely just puke out their entire deck as much as basically fast as
Like
possible.
in Yidris Storm, this is probably going to be pretty strong.
The problem with a lot of Storm lists, though, is most of the cards that they want to be casting are 1 or 2 colors at most. So you're going to discard your entire hand to draw a card to try keeping your combo going.
I mean, most of the time
if
when
you're down to one card, if you're just down to one card, that's not
you
really
dump all your writs,
Well,
and
yeah,
then
but
you
that's
cast a
very
draw
situational.
spell, and then with the draw spell on the stack this triggers, you get to refill your hand and then draw more cards. Yeah.
And the important part is the May.
Yeah,
Obviously.
it's optional. Yeah. I think this is really strong for Storm.
I think it very much depends on what your deck you're in. Like, Yidris Storm would probably make a lot better use of it than, like, I don't know, even Riku.
Mono Red Storm.
Well, like, yeah, you're never going to play this in a mono red deck. It's
Oops.
purely for, like, 3
Bump my
plus
mic.
colors. I would never run it in, like, Mythics, you know? I would never run it. I'm not even considering it for my Riku, which is a Storm list. You know?
Okay. Next up, we have Sunstreak Phoenix, which I think we just don't really need to talk about because it's another Phoenix, and Phoenixes are bad.
Yeah.
Is it like you can do something to return it from the graveyard?
When it
Yep.
changes from day to night or night to day, at least it looks like.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
You may pay mana to get
So
it back.
cool. Gimmicky Phoenix, kind of bad. Phoenix effects, kind of bad.
You also need to be in a deck that can change to day and night, which is very few, like, few
Mhm.
decks that I assume could.
So the consuming blob now, we're in green.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 5 mana, 3 double green for a creature ooze that has star and star +1. Consuming blob's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. And at the beginning of your end step, you create a green ooze creature with the same ability, except it doesn't clone itself.
Okay. On end step or upkeep?
And stuff.
At end step.
Okay. At first I'm like, this is a 5 mana Tarmogoyf. No, it's a 5 mana Tarmogoyf that clones itself.
Well,
It does not clone itself.
Tarmogoyf is equal to the number of card types. This is just equal to the number of cards.
Oh, cards period. Okay.
Yeah.
No card types. This
Oh,
one
it
says
is?
card types.
Yeah. I thought
I
Jordan
just
said type.
misread it. No.
Yeah,
I just
Yeah,
saw cards.
And it
Oh,
does.
is-
It's not an exact copy. It
Yeah,
just
I know,
copies
I know.
The power and toughness part. So you can't just like get
Yeah,
one
I
oof
know.
into 2 oofs and 2 oofs and 4 oofs.
No,
That'd be-
yeah,
that'd
I
be
know,
great.
but basically 5 mana for 2 Tarmogoyfs
There's too much grave hate for that to be good, in my opinion.
is... Yeah. If your meta's light on Grave Hate and you are going for a Stompy deck, probably a good card.
Well, even then, it's 5 mana for that. I feel like there's a lot better 5 mana cards you could be doing in green.
Yeah, like this you have any evasion.
No evasion,
Yes.
no, like, no
Trample,
keywords,
like-
period.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's pretty.
Oh wait,
freaking-
didn't Tarmogoyf have Trample?
No. He's
No?
just,
Nope.
he's 2 mana. He's too efficient. That's
He's
why he's
2
playing in
mana.
Modern. Well, he's not even playing in Modern anymore.
Yeah.
Jund is dead.
It's an okay card at lower power levels.
It's a funny card. It's an ooze.
It's not
If
gonna
there's
see
ooze
any
tribal, it's
competitive
ooze.
play, yeah.
Yeah.
Planeswalker at 5 mana, probably not gonna see play. Next card?
Let's talk about it. Like it's still a Planeswalker. Renin 7. Ren is a new friend. 5 mana, 3 double green for 5 loyalty Planeswalker. +1, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put all lands, reveal this land to your hand, the rest in your graveyard. 0, any number of land, you may put any number of land cards from your hand on the battlefield tapped. -3, you create a green tree folk creature with reach, and this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. -8, return all permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand, and then you gain an emblem that says you have no maximum hand size. Bad,
It's not good.
It's not a
not
yeah.
good.
It just feels overcosted.
Maybe this will be okay in casual land decks, but it's yeah. You're not running it outside of casual lands.
The only effects you care about if you're playing in a land deck is the 0 and the 1.
Yeah, those are the only 2 good effects on the card.
The 8 is just, what's that? There's an 8 mana green card. I don't
Yeah,
know
there's
its
an
name.
8 mana green
Praetor's
spell that's
Council?
not ran. That yeah.
Yeah, it's just mastery growth, which is good, but they're realistically never going to do it. Because Planeswalker is on field, Planeswalker was going to get attacked.
I'm gonna dip and get breakfast, so I'll let you and Nash handle this part.
Okay. So, you want to start with white rares?
Yeah, let's go into that.
So, now we're at Fateful Absence with 1 and a white for an instant that says destroy target creature or planeswalker, and its controller investigates, which means they get a clue that allows them to pay 2 mana to draw a card.
Honestly, this is like the first good white removal that we've got in a while.
Yeah, like ever since we had, what was it called, Divine Gambit, which I really feel that they thought was a lot better than it was.
It was so terrible.
It was so bad.
I can't even remember what it does. I've just blocked it from my mind.
I remember what it does.
No, I don't want
to say it.
I don't want to know.
Like, this is extremely efficient removal that hits multiple targets that are relevant and has a very small downside.
And it's instant speed.
And
which, in my opinion, is the most important thing for removal, or for single target removal.
Yeah, hands down. Like, Declaration in Stone, the reason why it was so shit was because it was sorcery speed. Even if it did exile stuff, exile creatures and other creatures with the same name, it just, sorcery speed is just so bad.
Yeah.
If you for a removal spell.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so much. I'm so happy. Please keep making good white cards. Stop giving us shit white cards. Regarding shit white cards, Cigar of Splendor.
Okay.
2 white for an enchantment. As Cigar of Splendor enters the battlefield, note your life total. As we give you your upkeep, draw a card. If your life total is greater than or equal to the last noted life total for Cigar of Splendor, then note your life total again.
Oh.
Whenever you cast a white spell, you gain 1 life.
If they just didn't have that last little caveat, it would be playable in life gain. It might still be playable in life gain because, like, what else do you have for like mono white life gain for card draw? But if you just didn't have to re-note your life total, it'd be so good because, like, oh, play it like 40 or 30 something health, and then just start gaining life.
Yeah, it only happens when you upkeep. You have to wait a whole turn cycle for it to happen.
Yeah.
And you only gain life when you cast white spells.
Yeah, it's just
way too clunky.
It's also 4 mana for this, whereas like in black, for instance, you have Phyrexian Arena, which is just strictly better than this. I'd say, because it always happens. You don't have to like jump through hoops, and it's 1 less mana.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Adeline, Katara, Adeline, Splendid Cathar. 1 white for a star 4 human knight with vigilance. Adeline, Splendid Cathar's power is equal to the number of creatures you control, and whenever you attack, for each opponent, you create a 1/1 white human creature that is tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker they control.
I'm not sure about this one.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not great.
It's decent on rate, but
yeah, getting 3 hitters a turn, but the problem is that they have to attack every turn.
Yeah. It reminds me kind of Hero Bladehold.
Yeah, or like Brimaz.
Or Brimaz, exactly. But
you don't see Brimaz in Commander.
You don't see either of those in Commander, so it's probably not going to be playable unless if you're like playing him
like mono white aggressive shell, yeah.
Or her. I can't really tell with the card art.
I believe it's lady.
Yeah, it. We'll go with it.
Yeah.
Or them.
Next up, Vanquish the Horde.
Vanish.
For 8 mana, 6 double white for sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature in the battlefield. Destroy all creatures. That's it.
Very good.
Very good. Incredibly good. One of the best board wipes in Commander now.
Yeah, I'd say strictly better than Wrath of God or similar or similar costing cards.
Like the only time Wrath of God is better is if you have
regeneration.
Someone that does regenerate, and that only exists really in elves and zombies.
and Skeleton Jink. Yeah, it's being able to reduce the cost is just so good because the times you want a board wipe is usually when you're getting flooded and you just can't keep up with the board state, so you have to reset it. Which is why Blasphemous Act is so good, and this is sort of just. I mean, it's the same.
Exactly, but it's Estrella creatures.
Yeah, the same.
Which is more often than not better than dealing 13 damage.
Yeah, usually.
There's a few caveats. Like, for example, if you have protection from red, Blasphemous Act protects make sure your creature doesn't die. If you're running like a
Stuffy doll.
Yeah, that's literally the only two reasons.
Yep. I was just thinking Stuffy doll. I didn't think I would put red. Or you have like a commander that says that. But what's that one?
Prevent damage, like Sabine.
Exactly.
Yeah, besides those three reasons, Vanquish the Horror is just better.
Exactly.
As a board wipe. And almost always it's going to cost 2.
More often than not, yeah. Like Blasphemous Act almost always costs 1, and this costs 2 less colorless. So you need 2 less creatures for it to cost 2.
Yep. So it's even more likely to be cast for 2 than Blasphemous Act is cast for 1.
Yep.
Let's see. Next up, there aren't a lot of good uncommons, but the ones that I saw that are kind of neat is like Borrowed Time, which is just another O-ring effect if you want more of those.
Yeah, more often by bones.
Then we have Sunset Reveille, which is a 1 white for a sorcery. If an opponent has more life than you, gain 4 life. If an opponent has more creatures than you, create 2 1/1 white humans. If an opponent has more cards in hand than you, draw a card.
It's just a new version of Timely Reinforcements.
Yeah.
Which is
honestly not bad.
Which is neat, but you don't see it played ever in Commander. So the same thing's probably going to happen with this.
Then we have Gavin Guard, 1 double white with Ward 1 for a 3/3 human soldier. It has the day or night effect. Whenever day becomes night or night becomes day, look at the top 4 cards of your library and you may view a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in the order. So this is like one of their ways of giving white card advantage.
It reminds me of the Militia Bugler.
Militia Bugler?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd say probably just strictly better, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's every time it switches from day to night, so it's more than one-time effects.
And the day to night happens regardless of there being or regardless of the. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's like the werewolf effect in old Innistrad, but like it happens regardless if it is day or night in the game.
Yep.
Okay. It's not bad actually.
Yeah, not bad at all. Then we have Search Party Captain, which is a 2/2 human soldier for 3 and a white. For this spell costs 1 less for each creature you attack with this turn, and when it's the battlefield, you draw a card. Again, trying to experiment with ways to give white card draw.
That sounds fine, but
not great. It could definitely be better.
Yeah, it is a common though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So I get why it's a bit underwhelming, but it is a start.
Then the last card I want to talk about is Qatar Commando for 1 and a white for a 3/1 human soldier. It has flash and has pay 1, sacrifice Qatar Commando, destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's literally Quetzalcoatl Pride Mage that's mono white with flash.
It doesn't have Exalted.
It doesn't have Exalted.
Strictly worse. Never play. It's a good card. If you're in green white and like the amount of colors matters, Quetzalcoatl is probably better, but this is a good alternative, if not just a replacement for it.
So next up, let's go into mono blue. Here we have Malevolent Hermit. For 1 of blue, you get a 2/1 human wizard with pay 1 blue, sack Malevolent Hermit, character non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3, and it has Disturb of 2 and a blue. which allows you to cast this card from the graveyard for its disturb cost, transform. When it's transformed, it is now Benevolent Geist, that is now a 2/2 flying Spirit Wizard that says non-creature spells, non-creature spells you control can't be countered. And if Benevolent Geist would be put from the graveyard from anywhere, it is exiled instead.
It seems like it's a good control spell, but I'm not sure, or card, but I'm not sure about that because the first side.
It reminds me of Glenelend's Archmage, with some shenanigans around it.
Yeah, the first side is a strictly worse Glenelendra that can be played earlier. And then the second side is like, it seems pretty good for a control shell like that doesn't want their control messed with. You don't want to have counter wars. You just want to say no to stuff.
The only problem though is that if it gets blinked, if it gets bounced, if it gets killed, it's just gone forever.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of ups and downsides to it, and it has its advantages, but you really are gonna want to look for like a very specific spot for it.
Yeah, it seems like a card that just there's not going to be many decks that want to run it or that are even going to consider running it. In my opinion.
It's not a staple anywhere.
Yeah, not even in decks that I would think like might want to run it. I wouldn't consider it a staple in. Like
Muldrotha that already has Glenelendra, unless you want to have another one.
Yeah, like stuff like, as I said before, Talrand and other stuff like that, Baral, which the non-creature spells can't be countered would be very good, and you have to jump through so many coops to get to that point.
So next up we have Suspicious Stowaway, which is a 1/1 human rogue werewolf for 1 blue that says Suspicious Stowaway can't be blocked. Whenever Suspicious Stowaway deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, the discard card, and it has the Daybound Nightbound effect. Then, when it transforms, it becomes Seafaring Werewolf, which is a 2/1 werewolf with can't be blocked again, and whenever you deal combat damage, you draw a card, but you don't discard a card.
That's pretty good. The only notable thing about this, though, is the Seafaring Werewolf is a green card. While Suspicious Stowaway is blue, so you can only play it in Simic Plus decks.
So pretty much, this is like a new Edric auto-include.
It's an Edric card and nothing more, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, like mono blue rogue decks aren't gonna be able to play this, which is sad.
Yeah, or mono blue like aggressive decks can't run it because green.
Yeah. Next up, we have Curse with Surveillance, which is 4 and a blue for an Aura Curse enchant player. At the beginning of the enchant player's upkeep, any number of target players other than that player each draw cards equal to the number of curses attached to that player. Like, it rewards you for putting a bunch of curses on a guy, and then draws you a bunch of cards, and you can even like be political about it. Like, hey, you my buddy, I can give you a few extra cards if you don't fuck with me.
Yeah, it's an interesting card, but I feel like it's only gonna see play like most curses in the new curse
Commander
we just talked about. Yeah,
that's pretty much it. This card just costs way too much for it to be played anywhere else.
Yeah, and also it gives your opponents the same advantage it gives you. So.
So next up, we have Grafted Identity. 2 double blue for an enchantment aura. As the initial cost to cast this, sack a creature, enchant creature, you control the enchanted creature, and the enchanted creature gets +1/+1.
It's a strictly worse control magic, which is just a 4 mana, same casting cost, but you don't have to sacrifice a creature for the same effect, just you don't get +1/+1.
And I feel like the reason why they're doing this is because
standard.
Most control magic effects are generally 5 mana nowadays because they don't want to go down to less than 4 mana.
Well, obviously.
So they wanted
to be more restrictive than
they wanted to reduce it to 4 mana, but give some kind of downside or to make it more fair.
Yeah.
And yeah, for Commander, we already have control magic, so there's no reason for this.
We have much better cards even than that.
Yeah, we have the Fairy.
That's it.
Yeah. and Gilded a Drake, but no one has money for that.
Yeah, no one. Next
up, we have Patrician Geist for 2 and a blue. It's a 2/2 Spirit Knight with flying and other spirits you control get +1, and spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast.
That's not bad. Another Spirit Lord, which is always good for Spirit Tribal, which has been getting a lot more attention over the last few years. Yeah.
And
spells for your graveyard.
It's
okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. And plus, we'll apparently be getting more Spirit attention in the next set because there's also going to be a Spirit Precon deck. So who knows? We might finally get the Spirit Tribal commander that everyone's been asking for.
Let's hope.
Next up, we have Sludge Monster, 3 double blue for a 5/5 horror. Whenever a Sludge Monster in its battlefield attacks, put a slime counter on up to one other target creature. Non-horror creatures with slime counters on them lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 2/2. I think it's just a limited or like.
It's not that good. It's interesting,
it's not
but
that great.
You know what it should have done? It should have gave the 2/2s that new keyword. What's it called? Decay.
Decayed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it like, oh, they're now zombies.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
That would have been interesting, but
yeah, it's more or less limited fodder and jank material.
Yeah, without
Next step, we have Triskaidekaphile. 1 of blue as a 1/3 human wizard. With you have no maximum hand size, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game. It has 3 and a blue, draw a card.
Honestly, big fan of this card. I'm not usually a fan of win the game, alt win cons, but this one is at least more difficult to get to than other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been a fan of like hand size matters, which is the stupidest thing in my opinion, but it's fun. Like you get around like mention the Mind Cage. Ooh, who doesn't love that card?
I don't think anyone even knows what that card is.
It's a 7 mana enchantment that gives all creatures -X, -O, where X is your hand size.
Isn't it also like a legendary card?
It's legendary. It's Kamigawa. It's jank.
So weird.
But it's funny. And like, I just want to make a deck with all these style effects, and they're just giving me more and more for it.
Okay, so let's now go over some of the uncommons and commons. There are a lot of crazy ones, but let's go over them. Fading Hope is just a strictly better unsummon effect, which has return target creature to its owner's hand if its mana cost value was 3 or less. You scry 1, so not bad. If you're running unsummon, you switch it with this.
But you shouldn't run either.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. Then we have Phantom Carriage, which is 4 double blue for 4/4 spirit with flying. When Phantom Carriage is battlefield, you may search your library for a card with flashback or disturb and put it into your graveyard. That should be your library.
Interesting, but seems overcosted. 6 mana for that effect.
Unless you're playing on flickering shit, you shouldn't be running that card.
I mean, and even then, if you're in black, you have stuff like Violent Tumor and the Gravebreaker Lamia, which could put any card in your graveyard, including those.
Yeah.
It just seems much too overcosted for what it does.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's see, anything else that I had in here in blue?
Probably not. Blue cards in this set seem quite underwhelming for the uncommons and commons.
Oh yeah, I had 2. So there's Secrets of the Key, which is a 1 blue for an instant that says investigate, and if it was flashback if it was cast from your graveyard, you can do it. You investigate twice instead. And Consider, which is opt, but with scry, you delve.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just
both are fine, but nothing like game breaking or game altering.
So next up we have Geetha for the black cards, Glorious Resurrector. It is a 4/4 human wizard for 2 double black with If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile instead. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put all creature cards exile Geetha, Glorious Resurrector onto the battlefield under your control, and they gain Decayed.
Now, this is the thing with Decayed that I like a lot more. Since you won't be able to like use them as just an army of chump blockers or as like insurmountable advantage through attacking and getting their abilities. You have to choose what you want to do with the creatures you get.
And my favorite part about it is that its second effect doesn't matter if it was exiled recently or like 10 turns ago. It just cares that they were exiled with Geetha.
Yeah.
So like you could people could kill Geetha and then you just play it again and still get all the creatures you've exiled.
Give me that Con Sphinx, damn it.
I'll get it eventually.
Yeah. Honestly, probably one of at least in my opinion, one of the most interesting commanders in this set.
Yeah, that takes advantage of the Decayed effect.
Yeah. Only card that does, in my opinion. That I've seen.
Oh yeah, I think we missed a blue card. Yeah, we did. Okay.
That's fine.
Memory Deluge. 2 double blue for an instant. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast a spell. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest of the bottom of your library. And it has flashback of 5 and double blue.
I get what they're going for, but it's way too high mana cost.
But I do like how it's instant speed.
Yeah, but also if you have cost reducers, it looks at
Makes
less
it
cards.
worse.
Yeah, which I'm not a huge fan of end cards, especially because I played Brawl for one of my decks. So this card just becomes less playable, and I thought it was already pretty bad.
Yeah. Next up, back to black, Mask of Gristlebrand. 1 double black for a legendary artifact equipment. The equipped creature has flying and lifelink, and whenever the equipped creature dies, you may pay X life for X's power to then draw X cards, and has a quick cost of 3.
I can't think of any time where this is like just like definitively a good card, but I can't think of it being bad, you know?
Yeah, like it says draw cards.
It says draw cards. If you have a sack outlet and you have like, I can't think of any like aristocrat decks off the top of my head that have creatures with high power that you would want to sacrifice, but there's got to be some, right?
Yep.
So in those decks, it's probably an all-star, but other than that, it's probably just a worse Skull Clamp.
Yeah. Next up, we have Jadar, Ghoul Caller of Nephalia. A 1 black for human wizard, 1/1. At the beginning of your end step, if you control no creatures with Decayed, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature with Decayed. That's just a bad Ophiomancer.
Yeah. But you can play it in the
As a
command zone.
legendary creature, so it can be in the command zone.
You ever wanted to play Ophiomancer Tribal? Now's your chance.
Yeah. Next up, we have Champion of the Perished, a 1 black 1/1 zombie with whenever another zombie enters the battlefield of control, put a puzzle counter on Champion of the Parish. It's pretty much just an all-star in zombie decks, and that's it.
It's the same as Champion of the Parish.
Yep.
I think is what it's called. And just for zombies, but you don't run Champion of the Parish. I've never seen Champion of the Parish ran in Commander, so I doubt this will be ran either.
Yeah, like you only see Champion of the Parish in Human Tribal.
And even then,
and that hasn't existed until now.
Even then, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
There's no keywords. It's just a dork. Like,
yeah.
Or not even a dork, it's an idiot. Dorks at least make mana.
Next up, we have in the uncommons Dreadhound. 4 double black for a 6/6 demon dog. Oop, sorry. I'm getting a call on the. Well, I'm getting a ring on the doorbell. 1 second.
Alright. I guess I'll read on it though. Dreamhound, it's a 6 mana, 4 black for when Dreamhound enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. And whenever a creature dies or a creature card is put into graveyard from a library, each opponent loses 1 life for a 6/6 demon dog.
It's alright. It's an overcosted, Zulaport, right?
No, whenever a creature dies, or a creature's put in a card a graveyard from a library. So it's kind of like Sir Conrad the Grim, but one more mana and more restrictive, because I think Conrad is any card in libraries, but I might be mistaken about that.
But yeah, basically, it's an okay include in Aristocrats. I think it's too much mana.
It's overcosted for sure.
It could be used to insta-kill with a self-mill combo.
But then if you do that, like, Sir Conrad does the same, because it's, whatever cards put in your graveyard from anywhere.
Yeah, and also the best self-mill combo wins on the spot anyways, because it's a Thassa's combo.
Yep.
I'm back, and also, Dreadhound also hates on effects on other opponents doing this.
That's fair.
Actually, yeah, that might be its best case to run it, because it triggers on stuff hitting opponent's graveyard. So if someone brain freezes themselves like over and over again to try and deck themselves, you could hit them for quite a bit of damage. If they're low enough, that could be a deterrent.
But Sir Conrad does the same thing.
Yeah, so you can also double Sir Conrad too.
Yeah, I just run Sir Conrad for that.
If you only want one of the effects, though, Conrad is strictly better.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but it is an option as a second Sir Conrad, I guess.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Morbid Opportunist. For 2 and a black for 1/3 human rogue. We have whenever one or more other creatures die, draw a card. This ability only triggers once each turn.
Why?
It's just like bad fecundity.
Why does it only trigger once?
It's only 3 mana, to be fair. So they're trying to be safe.
3 mana, and also it doesn't care about non-token or anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's actually pretty strong.
Okay. If it was non-token, I'd be like, this should trigger as many times as plausible.
Yep.
Okay, since it's non-token, since it is token, I guess that's fine. But there are better cards.
Yeah, it's just a bit underwhelming. But you can at
Yeah,
least
it's
use
not
it
bad. Like it's like if you're like playing a Shirei where you can do it every turn, it's
Still-
actually pretty not bad.
Still pretty bad. Sure is bad in general.
Yeah.
I can say it. I can say it. I played.
Shirei is kind of trash.
But don't forget, Morbid Opportunist is also a 1/3, so
Yeah.
It works better, but doesn't mean it works good.
Next up, we have Necro Synthesis. It has it's an
Necrosyphilis.
aura. God damn, why do we put syphilis on everything?
It's funny. And by that I mean
Okay.
it sounds like it.
1 a black for an aura enchantment. Enchant creature. Enchant creature has whenever another creature dies, but +1/+1 counter on this creature, and has whenever this creature dies, look at the top X card of your library, where X is its power, put one of those cards into your hand, and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. It can be a pretty powerful dig spell.
It can be. That's the problem.
But unless you can play the enchantment multiple times, it's only going to be a one-off effect. Like, if you're playing like Luris as your commander, or Moltrotha, that's pretty much the only place this card belongs in.
Where X is the power. And the problem is you have to feed it with... Maybe in some Aristocrats decks.
I'd say like Luris is probably your only one that you would consider running it in.
Luris Aristocrats might want to run this. It's okay dig. It requires you to sack a bunch of stuff to get a decent dig off of it.
Or just sacrifice a good creature, which you don't want to usually do.
Yeah.
Like you put it on Sir Conrad, for instance, we brought him up just recently. He has 5 power.
Yeah.
You dig 5 cards, which isn't terrible, but
you'd have to sacrifice.
You'd have to sacrifice card. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's okay. It's kind of bad. There are better cards in black.
Yes.
You could just run Necrobones.
Yeah. You could just run Ad Naus.
Next up, we have Infernal Grasp. 1 a black for an instant that says destroy target creature, you lose 2 life.
Strictly better than Doomblade. Strictly better than Go for the Throat. Strictly better than Murder. At least for Commander.
Yep. Next up, we have Blood Pact, which is 2 and a black for an instant that says target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life.
Bad.
No. It's an instant at least, but Silent Blood and what's it called? The other 2 mana, draw 2, lose 2. I forget.
Wait, is Knight's Whisper or
yeah, Knight's Whisper, yes.
an instant?
It's also sorcery.
No, they're both sorceries, but they're just better on rate and for your card draw. Unless you're a control shell, it being instant versus sorcery.
Actually,
as much.
Yeah, so you'd play this in a control shell, and you'd play either Sign in Blood or Knight's Whisper in a non-control shell, because they're more mana efficient. That's basically what it comes down to. This is actually a good card.
Well, even then, like, you will, in control shells, like, people will still run sorcery-based card draw, just because it's better on rate. Like, people run Treasure Cruise, you know? I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Even
I
though
run
it's
Treasure.
sorcery.
I run a lot of sorcery card draw on mine.
Yeah, like Ponder, Preordain, etc. Jaren Visions.
Yeah.
Next up, we're going into red with the rares, and we have Smoldering Egg. 1 red for a Dragon Egg 0/4 with Defender. Whenever you cast into a sorcery spell, put a number of Ember counters on the egg equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. Then, if Smoldering Egg has 7 or more counters, remove those counters and transform Smoldering Egg into Ashmouth Dragon, a 4/4 dragon with flying, and whenever you cast into a sorcery spell, Ashmouth Dragon deals 2 damage to any target.
So it's Thing in the Ice.
Yes, like people have been talking about like this card being like the replacement to Thing in the Ice.
And then it turns into a Gutter Snipe. No.
That does it to any target.
A worse Gutter Snipe.
Well, Gutter Snipe is to each opponent. This is to target. So this can be used for board removal, but it's
control Gutter Snipe, not.
It's a control.
Burn
So
damage.
maybe an Izzet control. This is okay.
Yeah, it's an Izzet card strictly.
Yeah. It's not amazing, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
Thing
Next
in the
up,
Ice
we
was
have-
way better.
Okay, yeah. So next up we have Burn Down the House. 3 double red for a sorcery that says choose 1. Burn Down the House deals 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Or create 3 1/1 red devils with whenever this creature dies, deal 1 damage to any target and they gain haste until end of turn. It's a board wipe that's worse than Blasphemous Act.
What's the there's a Hour of Devastation, I believe is what its name is, which is I think the same as that first part.
Except it non-bolas, and it also removes an indestructible.
Yeah, which both of those don't come up that often, so unless you're in a Bolas centric deck, it's just a strictly better Hour of Devastation.
But Hour of Devastation isn't really.
Yeah, but I've never seen anyone run it.
Yeah.
So
Burn Down the House only playing this like Thurloth, which is a Devil Tribal deck.
and even then, are you really?
No, you ain't running that even in Devil Tribal. There are way better cards. Devil is
up,
actually
we
really
had-
good cards.
Yeah. Next up, we have Falcon Wrath Pit Fighter, a 1 red for a 2/1 Vampire Warrior
Wait, are
with
we
1
not doing
red.
all the red cards?
There are some red cards that just aren't good.
Okay, so we're skipping the completely.
We're
trash
skipping
ones.
cards that are completely unplayable. In Commander,
Okay.
That's just like a reason to mention them.
Okay.
Like we can
Good.
talk about this one if you want.
No. I was just like. Yeah. Falcon Wrath Pit Fighter.
Yep.
Okay.
1 in red. You may discard a card, stack a vampire, then draw 2 cards. You may only activate this ability if an opponent last life this turn.
What's that vampire tribal deck? Edgar
Yep.
Markov. Yeah,
Yep.
he's probably the only deck that's going to see play in, but it's going to be very good there.
Yeah, the Edgar like Armageddon type thing. This
Yeah.
allows it to refuel its hand after it's locked the board if it wants to convert back to having hand control. Actually, yeah, not a bad card in that specific deck, and that specific deck is actually not like insanely strong, but it's really strong, probably to the point where casuals will rage at you. So
Especially if you're playing the Armageddon version.
yeah, I mean, you're kind of dumb if you ain't running the Armageddon.
If you're gonna play Edgar, you might as well go all in.
Yeah,
Yeah. With Mogus and Yokel Hops, Ryan.
Your Globes is
Next.
such a bad board wipe. Shut up.
Okay. Next up, we have Curse of Shaken Faith. 1 red for an Aura Curse enchant player. Whenever enchanted player casts a spell, other than the first spell they cast each turn, or copies a spell, Curse of Shaken Faith deals 2 damage to them. This is entirely a Storm hate card.
Yeah.
And a pretty good one at that.
You would run it if you notice in your meta that you run into too many Storm players.
Yeah.
And it's just also like a generically good curse card. You're playing a curse deck.
But if you're just blindly trying to put this into a deck that's not curse centric and not like into a blind meta, yeah, then you're never gonna run this card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unless you're like specifically that new curse command that we just mentioned a bit ago as well.
Yeah. Unless you're curse sub theme, you don't run this because into a blind meta.
Yeah.
If you know your meta, you can pick whether or not you think the stacks effect on it is good enough.
Yep.
Next up, we have Geist Flame Reservoir. 1 red for an artifact. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, put a charge counter on Geist Flame Reservoir. You may pay 1 red to tap it to remove any number of those charge counters to deal that much damage to any target. Or you may pay 1 red to tap it to then exile a top card of your library and play that card this turn. It's not bad, but you have to pay essentially 5 mana just to get a card off of it.
Yeah. With untap effects, it can be abused a little bit.
I'd say it's strictly unplayable.
It's kind of bad. In red plus decks, you should never run it. In mono red, there might be an argument in very specific decks to run it, but it's overall outperformed by a bunch of other cards. Heck, red has better instant speed draw than 5 mana. Yeah.
The only deck I'd even consider running this in would potentially be Prosper, I think is what its name is. And that's just because the card draw is tied to an exile effect, which I know is the main theme of that deck.
I would not run in there.
Yeah,
I have a Prosper deck and I'm not running in there.
Yeah, I don't even think it's playable there, I was about to say. Yeah. That was the only thing that came to mind for me, like thinking playable maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we have Reckless Stormseeker. 2 and a red for a 2/3 werewolf that says to begin combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until that turn. And it has Daybound and Nightbound. Then when it's flipped, it becomes once again a red werewolf with power 3/4 called Stormcharge Slasher that says to begin combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/0 and gains trample and haste until that turn. So pretty much you're only running this for like a haste enabler.
And even then, there are cards that are probably better and
what are the color identities again?
fragile
Sorry.
For a haste.
It's just red.
It's mono red?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it cost over 3 mana?
It costs 3.
It costs 3.
But there are other hoops you have to jump through.
Well, the first side comes in and it gives haste still, but it's a creature, so it's easier to remove than
Okay, yeah. It's basically a fervor on a creature.
Which is its worse.
Arguably.
Unless you have creature synergies.
Well, it's more easily tutorable in like if you're red green, which most werewolf decks are, because it's a werewolf, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I guess it's not
it's
that
playable.
bad.
You might see some competitive play as a additional fervor effect.
Yeah.
But
Next
not
up,
likely.
we have Cathartic Pyre, a 1 red instant that says choose 1. Cathartic Pyre deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, or discard up to 2 cards and then draw that many cards.
Meh.
That's good.
It's an instant, so it's not bad, honestly.
It reminds me of a braid, and when's the last time you've seen a braid played?
I run a braid.
Okay, I've never seen you play it.
What?
I've never seen you play it.
I've seen him play it once.
Okay, I don't recall it. But that shows you how much I've seen it played.
I also run the bottom effect. There's another instant in red that does that effect. I run that too in a couple decks. No, at instant speed for 2.
I'm gonna say it's a worse Faithless Looting in my opinion.
I think it's just about as good.
Because it's also you have to discard those cards first.
Yeah, that's the one downside.
Which I never like those effects because Especially if you're trying to like card filter.
And this is just a strictly better version of that card, so I think this has merit and can see play in certain decks.
Okay. Next up, we have Obsessive Astronomer. For 1 a red, it has day-night, and whenever night becomes day or day becomes night, you may discard 2 cards to draw that many cards. It is a 2/2 human wizard for 1 a red.
You can discard 2 cards and draw that many cards?
Yeah. I think this one is strictly better than the Cathartic Pyre just because it's reusable.
How much mana was it?
2.
2?
But I still don't think it's great.
Yeah, that's a pretty good card. 2 mana continuous draw effect?
Yep.
And day-night triggers on 2 spells cast and then no spells cast, correct?
Yep.
The problem is it will probably never... How often do you... If you have a draw-go deck at your table, you might actually get to flip back. But other than that, most games, most players are trying to cast at least 1 spell around.
Yeah.
So...
Unless if someone's getting very screwed or you are specifically trying to flip it.
Yeah.
Because you're getting very screwed. So it's like a...
Actually, that might be good to run in a Drago control deck. That way you can control...
But it's red.
When you... Is it control? Grixis control?
But why would you play Is It Control when you could play green?
Shut up.
Green's
Okay.
the best color in the game currently, I'm not wrong.
Jordan, next card.
Next up, we're going to green.
Told you.
With our first rare being Tolovar's Huntmaster. 6 mana, 4 and double green for a human werewolf. That's a 6/6. When Tolovar's Huntmaster enters the battlefield, create 2 2/2 green wolf creature tokens, and it has Daybound, Nightbound. When it is Nightbound, Tolovar's Huntmaster, Tolovar's Pack Leader, as whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you create 2 2/2 green wolf creature tokens, and has the ability 2 double green. Another target wolf or werewolf you control fights target creature you don't control. And it's a 7/7.
It's Wolf Titan.
Yeah, it's Wolf Titan. That's about it. It's not that good.
It's only playable in Werewolf,
Yeah.
Wolf or Werewolf Tribal.
Mhm.
And even then, it's
or
just like, it's like a Grave Titan for
maybe
zombies.
like green Ghoul fight stuff deck.
Even then, you'd have to be able to flip it consistently.
Next off, we have Sneak into the Festival. 3 double green, not 3 double green, 3 triple green for 6 mana, a sorcery with, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put 2 permanent cards with mana value 5 or less from among the ones on the battlefield, and then put the rest of the bottom of your library in random order, and it has flashback of 7 triple green.
Up to 2 permanents, you just said 2 permanents. I just want to point that out.
Oh yeah, it is up to 2 permanents. You can also choose no permanents if you want.
If you whiff
Yeah.
as well.
So it cheats 2 permanents into play?
Yep.
CMC
That
5
or less.
Permanents.
For 6 mana.
Right?
Permanents.
That's sorcery speed.
I've
seen worse,
Oh.
but I don't know if it's
There are
good.
worse cards in existence, but this is definitely below the threshold of playable.
A lot of people are calling it Slowco.
I get it. Like that one card collected company. Anyways, you only get 5 cards as well, which is very... Yikes.
Small, yeah.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
Yeah. Not
Next
very
up.
impressive.
We have Augur of Autumn. 1 double green for a 2/3 human wizard. With, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands from the top of your library. And has Coven, which is as long as you control 3 or more creatures with different powers. You may also cast creature spells from the top of your library.
So, wait, is this basically a, Fuck, what's the guy?
Vizier.
It's a core for a Crufix
Vizier
that
of
is
the-
sometimes... No. It's a core for a Crufix that is sometimes also a Vizier of the Magic.
What's the Corsair Prefix part of the effect?
You may play lands from top.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
But also, it doesn't reveal them, which is very nice.
Oh, you can
Yeah.
look. Yeah,
You
so
look. It's just...
it's like a better Oracle of Medaya. It's 3 mana, right?
No, Oracle Metta lets you play an additional land.
Oh.
I'd say strictly better Corsair Crufix.
Yeah.
What's the CMC of this card? 3?
Yeah, same casting cost as well. 1
Shit. Yeah, that's actually an okay card. It's not amazing. It'll mainly be ran in like probably Simic or Sultai lands.
And
I was thinking like Civic
Teamer. And like Omnath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next.
Ooh, Omnath. Yeah, mono green Omnath.
I meant green red, but all the Omnaths can run it. Why the fuck not?
So next up we have Unnatural Growth. 1 quadruple green for an enchantment that says at the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn.
Jank.
This is such a Timmy card.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's
Dino Gober.
Next up we have Thereth, the Viper's Fang. 2 double green for a legendary human warlock. It is a 3/4. Other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch, while other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof. And may pay 1 to tap her to give another target creature untap or land.
You worded that so weird.
I did.
the fuck? Yeah.
My brain wasn't thinking for a second there. It was
If
jumbling
it's
words and
untapped.
think I might have a mental in there. So 1 tap it, untap another target creature or land you control. There, that sounds better.
Yeah.
What's it CMC?
4 for a
4.
3/4.
Oof. Ow. Oof.
It feels a bit overcosted,
Ow.
but other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof is quite a strong effect.
It's
And giving your attacking creatures that are tapped Death Touch is actually also pretty good too.
It's okay. It's not amazing. There
Well,
are
if you're
cards
creating
for
vigilance, it
cheaper
doesn't
that do parts of its effects that are probably the strongest. So
It reminds me a lot of the Frostfang.
this is 2 mana though, right?
4.
Or not?
Mana.
Not 2 mana. Single color identity, correct?
Yes, green, mono green.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a better option than maybe the Simic guy that does the same thing. If you want to play mono green, so I guess it has its places, but
But if you care about the Death Touch specifically, then you get you can have the Frostfang, which gives your attacking creatures Death Touch.
Also, if you care about the untap, there's a 2 mana
There are multiple things that can
elf
whatever.
that lets you just tap it to untap a creature.
Yeah, there are dozens of cards that do that.
Yeah.
Especially in green.
So
Yeah.
this is kind of an oversaturated market. The most unique part's the hexproof, and that
Asceticism.
kind of is handled by just packing a heroic, is what I was gonna say. But yeah, asceticism works
So if you
too.
want a permanent based one, that doesn't have to. That doesn't rely on your creatures being untapped as well, so you can use your dorks to tap for mana still.
Wait, but doesn't that card say you're? Oh, you're talking about asceticism.
Yeah.
Okay. In heroic, if you leave 2 dorks untapped because you want to keep them with hexproof, you might as well have just kept 2 dorks untapped to cast a heroic if a board wipe drops, because that'll also protect against that.
Yeah.
Whereas the hexproof won't. Yeah.
Okay. Next up we have Outland Liberator. 1 green for a 2/2 human werewolf. You may pay 1, sack Outland Liberator to destroy target artifact or enchantment, and it has Daybound, Nightbound. On Nightbound, it becomes Frenzy Trapbreaker, Werewolf 3/3, and has another Frenzy Trapbreaker attacks, destroy target artifact enchantment defending player controls, and has the ability to pay 1, sacrifice Frenzy Trapbreaker to destroy target artifact or enchantment. So, Cathartic Pyre Mage once again, but that's also a werewolf that has the upside of, when it's a werewolf, also being able to kill artifacts enchantments on attack.
Yeah, notable, it's an attack trigger, not a damage trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So you could attack and blow up an artifact or enchantment and then sacrifice it if it gets blocked and would die,
Yeah.
which would be very nice, but it has to be in the Nightbound form to do that, which, I mean, we've been talking about this a bit, but not much, but I don't know how consistent the Nightbound forms are going to be.
To
while
switch to
looking at cards.
Nightbound, you have to cast 2 spells in 1 turn,
No.
correct?
No spells.
No spells to change from day to night, 2 spells to change from night to day.
Oh, that's ass.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you have to cast them on your turn.
it's still...
Wait, they have to
Yeah.
be cast on your turn? I thought it was if in During any turn.
No, they changed how that works slightly from the.
That's the
original.
old werewolf.
Okay.
But
Okay. Yeah. At worst, it's just a mono green Qasai Pride Mage.
Yeah.
And Ether form, which isn't bad.
I mean, it's kind of like 1 mana more up front for Caustic.
Like if you're mono green and you want an effect like this,
One-
or if you're like in a like Golgari, like that's not bad.
1 mana less than the Brontodon. It's pretty good.
Next up, we have Draz Revival, which is 2 and a green for sorcery that says return target card from your graveyard to your hand and has a flashback of 4 and a green. It's essentially a slightly costly regrowth with flashback.
Yeah, so the question is, do you value the flashback or do you value the efficient CMC?
This reminds me a lot of what's the one the Moto Dual Face one?
Yeah, MD.
Yeah.
But do you value?
I'll get a recovery.
Yeah. Do you value if you want to run both as well, like regrowth and one of the two? Would you value the potential land or would you value the flashback more?
Yeah. Also, this card I think goes up in power. Surprisingly, the lower power you go over regrowth, because in lower power pods, everyone's running less efficient cards, so you can afford to run less efficient recursion because it can be used multiple times. So, yeah, I think in casuals this will be stronger than regrowth.
Also, as you mentioned, less graveyard hate the more casual you are.
Yeah.
Yep.
The more competitive you get, you would probably be running this as a secondary regrowth, or if your deck can somehow exploit the fact that it's casting from grave.
Yeah.
Next up, we're in the multicolor zone. Starting with the Mythics, we have Teferi, who slows the sunset.
Stop printing Teferis.
Teferi's good. It's good and not broken though.
I miss Jace.
So I'm just burnt out. We've had 2 Teferis a year for like 6 to 8 years.
No.
Right?
3 years.
Wait, it's only been 3 years?
6 to 8 years.
Oh my god damn, can we please stop getting Teferis? It feels like it's been forever.
He does slow the sun.
Oh yeah, he slows everything down. He is so boring.
Speaking of slowing stuff down, this Teferi is only playable in one style of deck in my opinion, and that is Stasis.
Locks!
Yeah.
This card is
Okay.
meant for degenerate stacks players.
So it is 2, a white and a blue, for a 4 loyalty planeswalker that says +1, choose up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target land. Untap the chosen permanents you control, tap the chosen permanents you don't control, and you gain 2 life. -2, anticipate. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand, the rest in the bottom. -7, you gain an emblem that says untap all permanents you control during each opponent's untap step, and you draw a card during each opponent's draw step. You're looking at this card for like,
Derevi.
again, stasis effects that want to play on everyone's turn.
Winter Orb style decks, Stasis decks.
Yeah.
Blink
Smoke.
deck.
Not even.
What? Unless you untap another creature.
Not Blink untaps. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much all you're gonna want to play this with. It's also just generically good value.
It's
Drawing a card,
okay.
untapping your stuff every upkeep and draw step isn't bad.
That's if you ult. The +1
Yeah.
is very deck specific. And well, not very deck specific, but in order for the untap creature to matter, it's more deck specific. Artifact and land can both be for mana, obviously.
Yeah, Teferi only wants to be played in either like Planeswalker decks or decks that want to completely gum up the board and make it so that no one gets to play the game.
I'm not even gonna run this in Atraxa, dude. It's not. it
It's
does
not meant
want
for
to be played in-
planeswalkers,
no.
it's meant for stasis.
It's meant for one deck only, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's
I'm saying
Derevi.
decks that should run it.
Yeah, I'm saying decks that should run it. Derevi and Derevi.
Jarevi and
I'd say Urza, but it's mono blue.
what's
or
that
it's not
guy who
blue.
sits in a chair?
Alora.
Alorostasis, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Arlen the Pack's Hope. 2 in Ghoul for a 4 loyalty walker with Daybound, Nightbound. Daybound until it has a +1 with until end of turn. You may cast creatures as though they have flash, and each creature you control enters the battlefield with additional +1 counter. -3, you create 2 green wolf tokens. Then in Nightbound, she has +2 add Ghoul to your mana pool, Ghoul mana into your mana pool, and 0 until end of turn. Outland the Moon's Fury becomes a 5/5 werewolf creature with trample, indestructible, and haste.
This somehow made another terrible Arlen.
It's not like it's certainly better, but
It's the only playable one.
Wait, what? Dude, the werewolf's text is too fucking long. I keep zoning out midway through. This is Pendulum Monsters all over again.
yeah, Outland the Pack's Hope is not bad, but again, not a great planeswalker. You're really only playing this in the werewolf deck.
Even then, I don't know if you are.
Next up, we have Sigarda, Champion of Light. 1 green and 2 white for a 4/4 legendary angel with flying and trample, and has humans in control get +1/+1. And she also has Coven. Whenever Sigarda attacks, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a human creature card from among them and put it into your hand, and then put the rest of the bottom in random order.
Seems like a pretty decent human tribal deck, but I don't know if there's enough humans that are good enough to run to make it a good commander.
Yeah, like we've gotten a lot of support from this set and also from Ikoria, but what the real defining factor is if the precon has any good human tribal cards.
The other thing is, a lot of the human support from Ikoria was white-black, whereas Sigarda is white-green, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are a few mono-white ones, like there's one Iama effect,
Well, yeah,
but that's
but
pretty much it.
I'm saying just the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're really like, what humans really need desperately is just more tribal synergy and not just generically good humans.
And a better commander, probably with like Abzan or Wooburg or something for casting costs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Florian Voldaron Cyan, a 1 and Rakdos for 3 mana for a 3/3 Vampire Noble legendary with First Strike. At the beginning of combat, at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the total amount of life your opponent's lost this turn. Exile one of those cards and put the rest of the bottom of your library in random order. You may play that card this turn.
Again, this could be good in an Edric style deck, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure about him as commander either.
It's pseudo card draw in Rakdos, right?
Yeah,
That can be ran in the
it's
command zone. It's kind of
just
good.
Edgar Markov card.
It might be okay as its own commander. I don't know.
It doesn't need to be Vampire Tribal at least, which is nice for that. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This can just be ran in like generic Rakdos decks as another way to get some consistent cards, right?
Yeah. Next up, we have Denik, Pious Apprentice. That is a 1 blue, 1 white for a 2/3 legendary human soldier with lifelink. Cards and graveyards can't be the target's spells or abilities. It has Disturb 2 and Azorius. You may cast this card from your graveyard, transform before it's Disturb cast. And then it then becomes Derek. What's that? Derek Pious Apparition, which is a 3/2 with flying, Spirit Soldier. Whenever 1 or more creature cards are put into your graveyard, from anywhere, investigate. This ability triggers only once each turn. And if Denik would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile instead.
I feel like most of these Disturb cards just have too many hoops to jump through.
This
to get good.
his first side is probably stronger than his second side also.
I don't know. His first side is just ground seal, and do you ever see that played? I've literally never.
I've seen it played a couple times.
That good.
It also used to be in my Yi-Song list.
The only time I've ever seen it played, it was very specifically to counter metas.
Yes. It's a meta-specific card, or you could. The weird thing is now, what's the new best deck? Opus Thief might want to run this so that their graveyard cannot be targeted while they're comboing. So it can be a defensive stack piece now, given that it's in the correct
Yeah,
color.
but Silent Gravestone just does that anyways. And it's colorless artifact.
Huh?
So it just feels like if you're not in green, then it's just not worth it for that style effect because you can't tutor it easily or easier than anything else.
Yeah. It's an okay card. It's not amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like trash like some of the other stuff we've seen.
I do think that all these cards with Disturb are trash as commanders though, because
Oh yeah. He is not a commander. He is an in-deck card.
yeah.
Next up, we have Catilda Dawnheart Prime. 1 green, 1 white for a 1/1 legendary human warlock with protection from werewolves. Human creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors, and then Catilda has 4, and the Lesnia, tap her, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Again, this is great support for humans, but she's not a commander, but she's great in deck for like a human travel list.
Will this see competitive play?
I feel like it's more of a tokens deck rather than a humans deck.
Humans are tokens.
Well, human tokens specifically, but
This is actually really fucking strong. So it's a 2-mana dork, right? Which sounds kind of bad, but if you're running humans that give you advantage, like
hate bears.
Or hate bears, but I was thinking like 2 go-to competitive creatures are like Snap and Duel, and fucking Bob. All 3 of those are humans.
And that would mean you're Wooburg.
Yeah, but I mean, you could be running 3-color plus and just having to slot this in.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I think this is good in deck. I think any deck running those colors might want to consider it. Yeah. But yeah, also hate bears. A lot of hate bears are humans. Anji is a human, right?
Anji? Like Anji
No.
Falconwrath?
No, not Anji.
Thalia?
No.
Thalia is.
It's 3 mana. It's a rip effect. I'm mixing up names.
Oh, Anafenza.
Anafenza, not Anji. Anji
Yeah.
is the vampire. Yeah, I'm fucking stupid.
Yeah, Anafenza is the human. There's a lot more. I just can't recall. But
Yeah.
Honor Guard.
Yeah, so this just turns a bunch of like happenstance creatures into
Demon Priest.
like mana dorks.
Sanctum Prelate. Both Thalias.
Yeah, both all yeah.
Mengara.
Next up, we have Ren Carlos, Stalwart Slayer, 1 and Boros for a 2/3 legendary human knight, flying in haste. If a spell would deal damage to you or another permanent you control, prevent that damage. If a spell would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1 instead. Yeah, it's a funny card.
It's
got Hippogriff.
the best use of it is playing in the command zone and then having Blasphemous Act in deck.
What you could
If that's
also
your best use. Like, are you really a deck?
if you know a deck wins through direct targeted damage, right? Oh, it only prevents permanents you control.
You and permanents.
Oh, it does protect you?
Yes.
From
but
direct
only
damage?
From spells.
Oh, spells, not effects. Okay, this doesn't protect against
I
Aether
guess it's also
Flux.
an Earthquake deck in that case.
It's bad at best.
Next up, we have Ludovic, Necro Genius. For 1 blue and 1 black, you get a legendary human wizard. That's a 2/3 that says whenever Ludovic Necro Genius enters the battlefield or attacks, you mill a card. Then you may pay X double blue, double black to exile X creature cards from your graveyard and then transform Ludovic. X cannot be 0, and you may only activate it as a sorcery. You then get Olog, Ludwig's Hubris. Olog is a legendary creature zombie as a 4/4, and has, as long as this creature, as this creature transforms to Olog, Ludwig's Hubris, it becomes a copy of a creature exiled with it, except its name is still Olog. Ludwig's Hubris is still 4/4, and it's still a legendary blue and black zombie, in addition to its other colors and types. Then you put a number of +1 counters on Olog equal to the number of creatures exiled with it.
Not horrible, but not good. Isn't there a Dimir commander that already does this?
Lazav.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lazav the Multifarious?
I was gonna say it's Lazav that has to jump through more hoops.
Yeah, yeah. It's a worse Lazav.
Which is unfortunate, but...
I mean, if you need 2 Lazav effects for some reason,
Or you want him as a commander for, like, a slightly different deck? They're slightly different, at least, but...
They're a little different. I don't...
think you might be running for, like, worth those reasons.
Yeah, that's the main reason anybody would run it, I feel like.
I don't think it's strong. I think it's...
Yeah, flavorful, that's it.
Yeah, it's a slightly weaker Lazav. And Lazav isn't good right now.
We have Vadric, Astral Archmage. 1 and Simic colors.
Yep.
For a legendary human wizard, that's a 1/2. If it's neither day or night, it becomes day or night. It has day and night effects. Instant sorcery spells you cast cost X less or X is Vadric's power, and whenever a day becomes night or night becomes day, you put a +1/+1 counter on Vadric.
You don't pay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like Mythics. Or,
Yep.
it's like a different style of Mythics, obviously, but...
It's Simic, correct?
No, it's
No, is it?
Oh, it is,
So it's
is it?
Mythics, but
Okay.
instead of experience, it's his power.
Yeah, and that... Is he reasonably cost?
He's 1 less mana, so he's 3 mana.
Huh.
Plus, out of the board, it just makes it so that everything costs 1 less, okay, it's a 1/3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1/2.
So... This... Yeah, it's basically...
It's a lot easier to interact with and stop than Mythics is, because Mythics keeps the experience.
Yeah, I think this will be an in-deck amplifier, if anything, but it's still good.
Yeah, because worst case scenario, it's just like an Electromancer.
And actually, you could run it as commander, and it'd still be pretty potent.
Next up, we have Slowgark, the Ogre Slime.
Oh.
A 1 in Simic colors for a 3/3 legendary ooze with trample. Whenever a land card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Slowgark, the Ogre Slime. Then you may remove 3 +1 counters on Slowgark to return it to its owner's hand. Then, when Slowgark leaves the battlefield, you may return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand.
It's like Life from the Loam with a lot more steps as well.
That's way too... Should have returned the lands to the board. That's kind of bad.
You want to play like a...
Well, wait.
like
It lets you put the lands into grave from anywhere, so you could run self-mill.
Mm-hmm.
Or discard, like frog style.
but-
loops.
It's still so bad.
Like the most I've seen people see was like put out Eldrazi Titan, and then put that one druid in, and just have it go through your whole deck. Make him like a 44, you hit someone in the face.
I can see this travel, so that's not terrible, but
Yeah, probably the best thing to do, yeah, is to just deck yourself over and over again. Yeah, kind of pants.
Yeah, unless you're trying to go with like a gimmick or just something like interesting and funny, that's pretty much all you're doing.
It's funny, but it's a bad card.
it could also be pretty good in like a strip lock kind of deck, but most of them are mono green.
I was trying to think of how to make it, like, it's okay in a strip lock deck, but you really want Crucible effects as opposed to...
Well, it's just like a third one, like a fourth one, because you have your Crucible, you have your Ramming Up, you have that new 6-drop, you have Life in them, so it's like the 5th version of those style effects for you.
Yeah, it's like a backup. And I guess you could run this one in the command zone, so you are always guaranteed to at least hit this effect? Maybe?
Yeah.
So you might be able to run Simic Strip Lock, but that means you don't get to run the Azusa in command zone?
Yeah.
Which means... But you're in green, so I guess you can tutor the Azusa, right? Maybe. Actually, I might have talked myself into thinking it's a little strong. But it's because it's like, it's your 5th best option, but it gets to be put in the command zone.
Okay. Next up, we have Siphon Insight. Dimir colors for an instant. Look at the top 2 cards of the target opponent's library, exile one of them face down, and put the other on the bottom of that library. You may look at that card and play that exile card for as long as it remains exiled, and you spend mana as though it meant any color, and it has flashback of 1 Dimir.
Oh, a 2-mana Dimir card. Those have never been broken. Nah, it seems good. It's basically a sleight of hand on your opponent, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so you pay double the mana, but you get to steal something in the process.
It does have flashback, so
it's all right. It's playable.
not bad.
It also has it's also an instant, which is very nice for this.
Yes, which means
style
you
effect.
can hold open control and then play it on end step when there's nothing better to do.
Or it's so in Vamp tutors.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you can just fuck with people's tutors.
Small
That's really
monster
funny.
tutor, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's probably the most powerful thing you can do with it.
They Vamp tutor, they E tutor, they whatever.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, that's... As you get higher in power, the ability to fuck with the top specific card of the deck at instant speed comes way stronger. So, yeah, that's probably... Yeah, it's really good, actually, now that you mention that.
Next up, we have Dire Strain Rampage.
You know, I made this joke when I first saw it released, but it's not even a joke. I can't tell if it's supposed to be a removal or ramp.
It's so bad at both, it might as well be neither.
Well, you're gonna have to see a lot of it because I'm playing this card so much it might have missed a deck.
Well, that's because you have a really dumb restriction.
It's not dumb, it's just a restriction.
Dire Strain Rampage is a sorcery that's for 1 in Ghoul colors that says destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land.
Yeah.
If a land is destroyed this way, its controller may search their library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them in play tapped, then shuffle. Otherwise, its controller may search for the library for 1 basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle, and has flashback of 3 in Ghoul.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just
So this is in the colors that it has to compete with Chaos Warp and Beast Within, 2 of the best removal spells in the format. So 3 mana should remove any permanent type period, given those 2 cards, and this doesn't, so it's already on the back foot.
It's also
sorcery speed, not instant. That's another point against it, and it gives a land which is ramp, and you don't want to ramp your opponents. That's bad. So I guess this card's supposed to be cast on your own stuff, but that requires you to have a sacrificial card.
Well, it's just Sorcery Speed Hero now, that's 2 colors.
Sorcery Speed Hero is probably its best bet, and the land's under tapped. So it doesn't even do Hero right. There's whatever you want this for, there's something that does it 10 times better. There's no point in running it.
Unless your entire deck is artifact removal, like tribal, you know?
Yeah, and you're in you have 1-mana artifact removal out the ear. You don't need that part of this. It's so bad that, like, some of these cards are like, haha, funny bad. This one's just like, why did WotC think players wanted this? And it's a rare! Oh my god, I just realized it's a rare. Oh my god. Why? Okay, we're on 1 with nothing territory. I'm done. Goodbye.
Next up, we have Old Stick Fingers.
I just want to be clear, he actually walked away from the computer. Anyways, go on.
Old Stick Fingers is a legendary horror that's Star with a casting cost of X, green, and a black. When you cast this spell, reveal a card from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards. Put all creature cards revealed this way into your graveyard, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Old Stick Fingers' power and turn to suit are each equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard.
It seems like a just Golgari reanimator list. At least I would assume. Because he doesn't have like evasion or anything.
Yeah. Also, another thing would be interesting is like you could like have a very specific number of creatures in your deck and have Old Stickers just be designed specifically to put those creatures in the grave every single time.
Yeah. Which kind of seems boring, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of boring, but that's pretty much your best bets.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Tolavar, Dire Overlord. For 1 and Ghoul colors, we have a legendary human werewolf that's a 3/3. It has, whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more wolves or werewolves, it also includes Tolavar, it becomes night, and then transform any number of human werewolves you control.
That's a really good effect for the, because Daylight Bound is a very inconsistent thing, it feels like.
Yep, and it also works around all werewolves.
Yeah. Which makes it so that if they aren't retroactively changed, it makes them a lot better too.
Then we have its night form, which is Tolavar Midnight Scourge, which is a 4/4 with whenever a wolf or werewolf you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card, which is the same as first, but gains a new ability that is, you may pay X and Ghoul to have target wolf or werewolf you control gain X plus O and trample until end of turn. This is the best werewolf commander people could ask for.
That's not saying much, though, seeing as the last werewolf commander was fucking Ulrich.
Ulrich wasn't a werewolf commander.
No, he was.
Fight commander.
Doesn't mean he wasn't also the werewolf commander. You're right, the last werewolf commander was Kessig Wolfrun.
There we go. Tolavar is he's aggressively costed. He gives us card draw in the command zone as tribal synergy, helps fix the wolves and old and new wolves so that they are constantly werewolves, which is what you want them to be at. It's so flavorful and extremely pushed. At least for werewolves.
Yeah, for a creature that gets pushed. Yeah, it seems really good, and honestly, it seems like a pretty enjoyable deck for.
That is actually, really, really strong.
Hopefully we can see this in action at some point.
When it deals combat damage. If you can give it double strike, it double draws.
Or trample if it can trample over, which it gives trample as effect. If they have like a creature with a big butt.
So I'm back.
Very good.
Yeah, that card's pretty strong.
Yeah. Next
So
card.
wait, if I'm understanding its effect on the human side, if you control 3 werewolves, all werewolves are permanently locked to their dark form, correct?
No, on your
No, they're
upkeep it
transformed.
changes.
Mm,
They transform to the night form.
okay.
Mm.
Wait, if he's already in night form and you play an old school werewolf, it won't transform.
Yep.
Okay, that is his one downside.
You gotta admit they did a lot to try and fix it, but they can't do everything.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
could have put that same effect, and it's like you may flip the werewolves on the other side as well.
Mm-hmm.
They done that with.
But no, for 3 mana he's still fine.
But I get why. They
It's
did.
draw on the command zone in Ghoul. It helps with the problem of the werewolf synergy, which is trouble keeping consistent transformations. And it, he's reasonably bodied for his cost, and he has a pump effect on his flip, correct?
Yep.
Which is basically a second Keswick.
Yeah.
Yep.
For wolves or werewolves.
Yeah.
And it doesn't tap them.
Yeah, which is amazing. So he can give stuff trample. So
Mhm.
he's really good for a creature deck. I think he's really well designed.
Yep.
He's not going to be like busted by any means, but he's not weak. Next card.
Next card. Lycia, Forgotten Archangel. 2 double white and a black for a 4/5 legendary angel with fly and lifelink. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hands beginning of the next end step, and whenever a creature the opponent controls dies, exile it instead.
I think this card's pretty strong too. I seen it related to Athreos recently when I was looking at this card before.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about Shadowware Apostles, and even
Yeah,
after
yeah.
page.
Yeah.
I think this is just should be looked at as a powered up Shirei.
Shirei comes back to field, which is the benefit of it.
Yeah, but this one
Oh,
at
but
least
Shirei
has a
is
delayed
shit.
trigger,
Oh, I'm aware.
and this angel can die without you losing every. Yeah. I get that it doesn't come back to field, but like, also, every deck based around recurring sacked creatures doesn't need to go Shadowborn Apostles, people. You can build other decks with them.
Go Shadowborn Apostles just to piss them off.
I'm surprised. I was actually pleasantly surprised when you built Shirei and didn't opt that route.
Unlike you, I don't like it. Just having tutor decks.
No, but that's what most people like think is a good Shirei deck. Shirei go brr. Start crafting out demons. Yeah, no, but yeah, I like this commander. I think it's good for aristocrats. It prevents opponent graveyard strategies while facilitating your own, which makes it really good.
Yeah.
Lifelink's never bad to have on a commander.
Realistically, for aristocrats, though, it probably is just worse than Tessa Karlov.
Yeah, that is the sad part. But it's not like it's decently strong. But yeah, Tessa is above it.
This is just like pushed.
Both Tessas are probably above it.
Nah, I'd say just the new one.
The double all death triggers.
Yeah, for aristocrats.
Yeah.
Next, we have Cool Colors Harvest, which is a black and green for a sorcery that says create X. 2/2 black zombie creature tokens decayed, where X is half the number of creature cards in your graveyard rounded up. And it has flashback of 3 and Golgari.
Yeah, it's meh. It's not good. When's the last time you've seen anyone play these style effects in Commander? Like, I literally never have.
Yeah, honestly, me neither.
They seem good in concept, but they're just never what you want. So.
What's never what who wants?
These like generate tokens equal to the number of cards in your graveyard, or something like that. Like this is what.
So, 2 mana generate X tokens.
Where X is half the number of creatures in your graveyard.
And they have decayed.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the stronger variants of this effect I've seen. It also has flashback. It's actually reasonably costed. What
yeah,
the?
They have decay, so they can't attack. Or they only attack once, then they can't block. Actually, is decay?
But if I'm in Golgari and I'm generating X tokens, I'm probably using this to like, I don't know, feed something to sack to Jared to kill a player.
Yeah, why would you play Jared? He's boring.
Or
yeah, called out all your Jared players.
But actually, this is probably stronger, just a stronger version of the Worms, right?
No, I think Worms is for all cards, is it not?
Early Harvest is for all lands.
Oh, it's lands?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was creatures. Okay.
No, it's Worm Harvest, yeah. And it does have retrace.
Which means you can flash it back multiple times, basically.
Yeah. I still think this is a good card.
Still, I mean, I would never run it personally. I don't play much Golgari, though, to be fair.
I could see several Golgari decks that would want to run it, but yeah, it definitely needs a deck specifically looking for the effect, but it's not a bad version of the effect.
Again, you need to make use of Decay Zombies specifically.
Yeah, usually you're using a mass token generation in those colors as sack fodder.
Sometimes use it. Yeah, whatever.
Okay. Next up, we have Croaking Counterpart, which is a play on of Cackling Counterpart. It is a 1 and Simic for a sorcery that says create a token as a copy of target non-frog creature, except it's a 1/1 green frog.
So wait, it's a 1/1 green frog with all the effects of target creature.
Yep, it has flashback of 3 and Simic.
So this is, what you're saying is this is a 3-mana clone.
Yep. There's a lot of 3-mana clones now. There's a lot of 2-mana clones.
Yeah, 3-mana clone is still playable though, so this is actually strong. Its biggest downside is it's locked to Simic colors. Upside is it has flashback, so it can be cast twice. I like this card.
It's okay.
I don't see any downside to this card.
It can clone cards or creatures you don't own, which is very nice, but most of the cards you want to clone, I feel like either have good ETB triggers, which is probably the best use of it because you get a 1/1. Have a good body, which doesn't matter for this because there's a what's 1/1. Or have good static abilities, which the main one for that comes to my mind are like Avacyn, which means it's a killable by any -1/-1. Or Elish Norn, which dies to state-based effects. Because there's another Elish Norn. Or you control the other Elish Norn and then you have 2 legends, one dies to state-based effects.
Yeah. But I mean there are other cards you might want to clone, like
obviously, I'm just saying like generally speaking. And like
cloning a Priest of Titania against an elf deck gives you like infinite mana basically.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Rite of Harmony. It is 1 green, 1 white for an instant that says whenever a creature enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, this turn, draw a card. It has flashback of 2 and Celestia.
Oh, this is a expanded upon version of
Glimpse of Nature.
Yes. I'm like, it's called Glimpse, but is it really just Glimpse of Nature? Yeah, Glimpse of Nature. Plus it has flashback. And this triggers off enchantments, so for... Wait, if I play an enchantment creature, do I get 2 draws?
No.
Creature or... If it's a creature, like, and, I think maybe that might be the exception, but since it says creature or, it only counts one of them.
Okay. That sucks. But... it's still a good card.
pretty much the same idea for me. Like, I love this card. This card is really, really good.
In in Selesnya Creature Storm, it's going to be a very powerful card.
And it's also good for Enchantress, which is also primarily in Selesnya.
Yeah.
It also has enter the battlefield, so tokens work.
Wait. Ooh, wait. Oh. Tokens do work. No, okay. That is actually really, really strong. Okay.
I believe the other one is cast.
Yes, Glimpse is cast.
Yeah.
This is a token. This is a creature ETB trigger. Oh my god. Yeah, no. This is really good. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's actually, with that realization, it might be stronger than Glimpse of Nature.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
It's just more color restrictive.
Yeah. And it's slightly more mana to cast, but once it starts up, creature tokens.
We have Galvanic Iteration. Iteration is 1 blue, 1 red, for an instant that says, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, you copy it, and you may choose to target with a copy. With a flashback of 1, and is it?
This is meant for Storm.
I've never liked these cards personally. For your next spell specifically. I feel like just running...
Don't you play bonus round?
It's different. That's all your spells this turn.
Yeah. But if you like Galvanic Iteration, and then you cast bonus round.
That's why I specified your next spell, not your spells.
This, and then Galvanic it again, and then flashback the bonus round. Yeah, you can get some crazy loops going with that shit. I like it for Storm. It's
What's also cool is that you could cast Galvanic Iteration and flashback it to then get another Galvanic Iteration. You get 2 more copies of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are other ways to do really crazy stuff with it. Yeah, it's nice. It's mainly used in Storm, or maybe as a combo finisher in a different spell-based deck. But yeah.
Okay, next up is Unnatural.
One thing you could do, you could turn pretty much any counterspell into basically Flusterstorm using Galvanic Iteration in it. To put multiple counters on something if you know someone has control magic to fight it. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Okay. Next up is Unnatural Moonrise. Red and a green for a sorcery that says it becomes night. So end of turn, target creature gets +1/0 and has trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And a flashback of 2 and Ghoul.
So this is a 2 mana, flip all werewolves, trigger all nighttime effects, and draw a card in Ghoul.
No, it's draw cards for each creature that does combat damage.
No, whenever this creature does 1.
Yeah, it's a creature. It draws you a card.
Okay, I thought it was each creature.
So it's
so good.
2 mana to draw you a card in Ghoul, which, quite frankly, is an
It has
effect.
to deal damage though. That's a downside. That is a downside.
Trample. Swing a 2/2 into someone who only has a land or elf.
Well, I'm aware. I'm just saying you have to remember that sometimes you can't get enough.
Yeah, sometimes you can't get that draw, but then you're probably flipping to get better static effects off your werewolves, and at that point, it's still a strong card. It's only good in werewolves in my opinion, but it's good in that deck.
And even then, it's only good with your new ones, assuming they don't change how old werewolves work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unless they errata old werewolves, it does take a hit, but if they do errata old werewolves, it's fine.
Next up, we have Flesh Taker. For a white and a black, we have a 2/2 Human Assassin. With, whenever you sacrifice another creature, you gain 1 life and scry 1. Then it has, you may pay 1 to sack another creature to give Flesh Taker +2/+2 until end of turn.
So this guy's weird.
He's a sack payoff.
I like his top effect, yeah, but he just seems like a watered down Viscera Seer.
Exactly what I was thinking.
I mean, he'd be pretty dope in tandem with Mr. Seer, but like the odds of that.
One twice, keep both on top.
That's happened before.
I'm aware.
But it's not a bad card. It's just I'm not sure how good it is. It could be like just complete garbage for all I know, but it looks okay.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Diagraph Rebirth. It's 3 and Golgari colors for a sorcery that says this spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature that died this turn. Turn target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield and has a flashback of 5 and Golgari colors.
Imagine if it was an instant.
If it was an instant, that'd be insane. I can see a couple decks where it's not atrocious to run this in, but it's
I can't think of
you run into the problem of Reanimate is 1 fucking mana for this effect. Like,
yeah, and you can't
it's like giving us 5 mana versions of the card. Like,
well, it costs 1 less, so it can be 2 mana.
Oh, that was 1 less for each. Yeah, for each. I said it just cost me.
Yeah.
For each creature that died this turn. That means 3 creatures have to die the first time you cast it. The one saving grace is this flashback, but
you can also flashback that for 2.
Yeah,
but it's only good basically after you wipe the board.
Yeah.
If it's instant speed, this would be board wipe protection, and it would be good. If this just straight up costed the 2 and didn't have some dumb hoop to jump through, it would be good.
It'd be too good, probably.
Actually, it could cost 3 and it'd be good.
And it could keep the same flashback.
It could keep the same flashback. It'd be a great card if it was just like at 3 at the first cast.
Well, it's also more deck restrictive because it's green-black rather than just black.
But as it is, I think it's bad. Cool, niche, but bad card.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Faithful Mending. 1 white, 1 blue for an instant. You gain 2 life, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, and has flashback of 1, a white, a blue.
Looting's better.
Into life, draw 2 cards.
This might be instant, but
it's an instant. It draws before discard.
So does Faithless. That's why this is Faithless.
The gain life is irrelevant. Wait, is Faithless an instant?
No, it's sorcery. So it's 1 more mana for the first half for instant speed, and the second half is the same, but it takes 2 colors rather than just 1.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, I think this is more aimed at control decks, whereas Faithless is more aimed at combo.
The thing is that you go card negative with this effect, which I wouldn't want to in a control deck. Draw 2, discard 2 plus the spell you cast. So you use 3 cards to get 2 cards.
Yeah, but I don't know. Card selection is usually better than card advantage.
Generally, but
yeah.
I don't know. Especially in control, you want to have a full grip if you can.
I get what you're saying.
I love it. I think it's great. I can't wait to have it in my hands.
Yeah, it looks like a strong card.
I think I might replace Faithless Looting with that in my Shabraz deck, but I'm not sure. But that's the only deck, because like it's completely based around drawing, discarding.
Next up, we have Vampire Socialite. A black and a red for a 2/2 Vampire Noble with Menace. When Vampire Socialite enters the battlefield, if an opponent lost life this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each other vampire you control. And as long as the opponent lost this turn, each other vampire you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's definitely an Edgar Markov card.
I probably wouldn't run it, but it's okay.
Yeah. It's like a...
It's a bad lord.
It's a really bad lord. I'm like trying to think of a way to say something positive about it.
Don't.
I'm struggling. It's playable. I'd cut it early.
Next up, we have Cedh Naturalist, which is a human werewolf for a red or green. Whenever Cedh Naturalist attacks, add 1 red or green to your mana pool until the turn. It does not lose. You do not lose this mana by steps and phases end. And when it's nightbound, it gains other creatures you control, other werewolves and wolves you control get +1 spawn, and has whenever it attacks, add a red or a green. Until your turn, don't lose it as phases end, and it's now 3/3.
Isn't this just Rada's effect on a 2 drop?
No, that is for each creature that attacks.
For each creature, but okay, so this is just from. So it's a mini Rada.
Yeah.
And he becomes a lord when he flips.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord is nice because I don't think there's mini werewolf/wolf lords, but I do know there's
1,
there are
2,
better
3.
ones.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6.
'Cause I can think of the wolf from
7.
Dark Ascension and Mare of Averbrook at least.
Yeah. There's the wolf from Dark Ascension, Mayor of Averbrook.
Those are 2 I can think of.
There are a lot more than you think.
Okay.
I don't play werewolves, as you know.
But I think
I also didn't play it.
I think he's good.
Shadows. I did play an original Innistrad.
Yeah.
Though.
Next up, we have Blade Stitch Gob for a blue and a black. It is a 2/3 zombie soldier with other zombies you control against +1/+1.
This is
Plus
reminiscent of the
Bad Lord.
there was a cycle of 3 mana lords in the OG Innistrad, and this is just it feels like a watered down version of one of those.
Oh, this is like a watered down cycle of lords. That's what it all is. They're all 2 mana. They have subpar effects.
Hey, the werewolf one's pretty dope.
It's just +1/+1.
Yeah, but he's a dork on top of it.
That has to attack. So if your opponents all have like 2 5s, you can never attack into them.
I guess you're right, but shut up.
I'm always right.
No, you're not.
Shut up.
Next up, we have in the artifacts. We're moving into artifacts now. The Celestis.
What the fuck? That's so much
It's
text.
a great game. I'd recommend it to everyone.
It's a 3 mana legendary artifact with, if it's neither night nor day, it becomes day as the Celestis enters the battlefield. You may tap the Celestis to add 1 mana of any color. You may pay 3 mana and tap it to have, if it's night, it becomes day. Otherwise, it becomes night, and we only have to pay as a sorcery. And also has, whenever day becomes night, or night becomes day, you then gain a life, and then you may draw a card, and if you do, discard a card. It's a really push 3 mana rock.
Yeah, but where would you run this? Only in werewolves.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. It might be pushed, but that doesn't matter if it's a 3 mana rock. You're never gonna play it. Unless it's specific for your deck.
It's
just like
a
that
bad
one Dragon's
card.
Word as well.
Oh, hey, they reprinted Pithing Needle.
Yep.
Yep.
Next up, we have Moon Silver Key. 2 mana for an artifact that says pay 1, tap it, sacrifice it, then search your library for an artifact card with a mana ability or a basic land card, and then reveal it and put it in your hand and shuffle.
Why does it have to be a basic land card?
Yep.
Why?
But it gets you any artifact card with a mana ability.
Which will very infrequently matter, because usually you're just running artifact ramp as ramp, not as, like, the only deck that would matter is, for instance, a werewolf deck that you need the Celestis, right?
Or a
like at the minimum, this is a card that says get Soul Ring.
Or
Yeah,
this
but
could say
Or get LED
or
if you're like competitive.
get your monolith, or get
yeah,
the
but
artifact you need to combo
there's
off
so much
with
other artifacts here,
dramatic
so I think
combo.
it's just better and more diverse, like gets you a more diverse like range of artifacts, so you don't need to just get your LED with this. You can get any 0 drop with your Whir on 0,
Yeah.
and you can do it at instant speed, and you go straight to field.
This might see playing competitive. It's a decent card.
If it does, it would be very specific decks that would want to run it, like maybe Joyra. But that's all I
Yeah,
can think
some
of.
decks would want to run it, some decks wouldn't. It's
Now we're on the last lap
Whoa, wait.
with the land.
We forgot
So
Stuffed Bear.
there's a cycle of lands that
No.
enter the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands, correct?
Yes, they're called the slow lands by the community.
Is there already the other half of the cycle printed, or
Fast, yeah, from...
No, this is only the allied cycle.
Oh.
only allied so far? Okay.
Give me more
They meet
enemy
my
lands.
criteria for okay lands. They're playable.
Give me enemy
Yeah,
color
they're
lands.
They have a
probably
clause
more
that
playable.
Yeah, they're more playable than like 90% of the lands printed. They have a clause that says they enter untapped. They tap for 2 colors of mana. They're good.
And last but not least, we have a very funny card, Hostile Hostel.
It's hostile.
It's a hostile.
Sure. It's a colorless land that taps for colors, and then you may pay 1 to tap it, sack a creature, and put a soul counter on hostile. Then, if there are 3 or more soul counters on it, remove those counters and transform it. Then untap it. Activate only as a sorcery. It then transforms into the Creeping Inn, which is a black artifact creature horror construct. Whenever Creeping Inn attacks, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life for X number of creature cards exile Creeping Inn. And then you may pay 4 to phase the Creeping Inn out.
Not good.
That is funny, but not good.
So funny.
I like that card. It's flavorful, but
It's just a
yeah.
tie back to Westvale.
Yeah, in kind of a. I think this is. It's not bad, and it could see play in casuals. I don't think it's competitive at all.
The problem is just it makes your land vulnerable. It makes it stop producing mana,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes it so that
I mean, Westvale Abbey required you to sack it to create the demon.
it flipped itself. Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Now then.
I don't think Westvale Abbey is that great either.
I can
Yeah.
see the argument for it, but it's a card that if you're flooding out, you do have other options on what you can do with it.
Yeah, but you also need creatures in your graveyard specifically to use. You're gonna be in black because this is a black card technically.
Yep.
So you probably want to have your graveyard for reanimation.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you want to exile your cards? It just seems a bit out of tune with what black wants to do in the first place as well.
The reason it wants to do that is because House Go Burr. No, it's not the best card, but I don't know, it's strong enough that I think it could be formidable in casuals, and weak enough that yes, there are arguments to not run it. You probably shouldn't run it, but it's funny. And that's like half of what casuals is this card's funny.
Now then. Now that we're done talking about the whole set, and now that we've read them all, I want to hear each other. Yeah. I want to hear from you guys. What is your favorite card, and what do you think is the most powerful card in this set?
So, my favorite card. Keep in mind, I wasn't here for part of this because I had recently woken up and hadn't eaten yet. Staying up late editing videos sucks. My favorite card from the set itself, not including the cards at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, most powerful card, Avis's Memorial.
Shut up. My favorite card would have to be. This is a tough one.
I know for a fact. I think that, in my opinion, the strongest card is probably. I'd either say. Actually, there's 3 that I'm between, which are Lord of the Forsaken, Meathook Massacre, and Fateful Absence.
So strong is there are 5 cards that really caught my eye.
Only
And
pick one.
well, okay.
But I'm just gonna say the Fateful Absence is probably the strongest in my opinion because instant speed removal is always good. And then
what your favorite card is.
Trisca Decaphile. Is that even a question?
Strongest card. would probably have to be... God, you are not making this easy, man.
There are none. Fuck you.
Okay, none of the cards are like traditionally like broken in every deck. These are all like in this deck. This is really I'm gonna go with Lyra, Disciple of the Drowned for my strongest card, because I have to play against a control player.
Fuck you.
And my favorite card is probably it's surprisingly one of the adversaries.
The red one.
I keep flip-flopping between the red and the blue one.
They're both good.
Yeah, they're both amazing.
You were advocating for the red one very hard, so if it's
I
not the red one,
I think
be
it's
shocked.
I think it's as strong as Past in Flames, which I think Past in Flames is the second best red recursion spell. So that means I think it's tied for the second best red recursion spell in the format.
Fair.
So yeah, and the blue one is a very unique take on protection, and it's a very blue take on protection, which I like. It feels thematic, yet it still accomplishes the saving of your board. Plus, it can be used aggressively.
It is spirit.
And one more card I just want to draw attention to. I love the meat hook.
Yeah, it's a good card. I will say another card I do want to say is a pretty fun looking card is Gissa.
I'm actually thoroughly impressed. Even like weird shit like the common blood pact, like there's some good stuff in this set.
Better than the fucking D&D set.
Yeah, this is definitely stronger than the D&D set. Teferi was also one of them I was debating for really strong, but that's only because of purely the deck he is designed to exploit. He's not actually good like if you just throw him randomly into stuff.
That's why I didn't even consider it.
And
strong.
From the added cards, the extra cards at the bottom,
There are none.
my favorite. I actually like the curse, and I think the commander is actually really strong.
I don't think she's really strong. I think she's good as in she provides a new archetype.
I think it
she's
could
strong
be
in
like
specific archetype.
you know that weird border between high tier casual and low tier competitive? I think it might be able to get there.
So the number 7.
What?
The number
7.
The number 8 to 9.
8 to 9, like 8 point something.
Oh, 8 to 9. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say it's around 7 is my assumption for where it would be put at.
Yeah, it has a draw mechanic on it.
That's only every upkeep, I believe.
Yeah. But I mean, like, there are cards that ran there just draw and upkeep. I don't know. It feels like a weird Curse Obsessed Zur. A little bit. It doesn't have the tutor, but it has a lot of value off of running enchantments. It might only be an 8, but I don't know. I think it has potential. And if you look at the list of cards that are in the whatchamacallit boosters only, there's a cycle of dead cards. There's Avacyn's Memorial, and the Curse and the Curse Commander. There isn't much good to compete with. So even if she isn't that strong and I'm just overhyping her, she's better than everything else in here.
Yeah.
Maybe with the exception of the Curse of Obsession.
For me, what I would say is the most powerful card is Vanquish the Horde. I freaking love this card so much. I am hella getting a foil extended art version of it. It's going to look beautiful in my deck. I am so happy it exists.
I'm surprised you didn't say Red of Harmony. He seems like so.
But I think the takeaway is that this set is actually packing a decent amount of power for EDH, which is weird because in the last couple sets they have been severely lacking in power.
It also helps that this is another one of those 20 mythic sets instead of a 15 mythic set.
Were the last couple ones 15?
Surprisingly, though, a lot of the mythics weren't even the cards I thought were the strongest. Like, all three
And
of the white mythics were kind of subpar.
There are only 4 mythics in contention for...
Yeah.
And my favorite card is the Meathook Massacre.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
It is, yeah. It's just strong enough that, like, I feel good liking it, and it's just, like, it feels so Innistrad, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's just got that right amount of gore and gothic horror in it. It's, yeah, I like it. I like a lot of the cards in this set. This set feels really nice. Why did they choose to make a Phoenix in a Mythic slot?
Gotta have a Mythic Phoenix every year.
And they I want to come back and harp on this card just because after realizing it was a fucking rare.
The red green one.
At least one with nothing was interesting in how it sucked. This just blows. Why?
Hey, it's interesting. You could use it on your own cards for advantage.
Yeah, like what I'm going to do.
At that point. Stop.
Like, no joke, this is the best ramp spell in my deck besides Giganta.
Your deck is a gimmick, though.
Yeah, your deck.
I know it is.
You can also play those 2-mana dorks that can tap for either color of their own thing.
Yeah.
Like, you got that sprite that can tap for green or blue.
Yeah.
There
are multiple.
We should probably have
you could run a ton of ramp. I don't know why you aren't. There's like a bunch of guild-based ramp.
I do.
I mean, if you're trying to make a guild theme, we can talk about this later. But yeah, that card is freaking horrible. If we were naming worst cards in the set, I don't care if there are actually worse cards. That being printed in a rare slot earns it the worst card in the set.
I don't know, man. You see that Phoenix?
I'd put this below the Phoenix. I'm that disappointed in this card.
Ooh.
They should not print 3-mana sorcery
that
removal.
Angel that has to be cast and enter the battlefield.
That what?
Has to cast and ETB to trigger.
Bad Reviarch.
Fucking terrible.
God damn. Okay, fine. You got some points. There are other shit
mana
cards.
Value too, so you can't even get good cards that have a high CMC with a low power, like you can with Reveler.
Okay, there's several really crappy cards in the set, but holy god, the entire time we were talking about this, the 3-mana removal spell, I thought we were talking commons at that point. I thought we had finished rares, and I thought we were talking commons.
I thought it was an uncommon, to be fair.
I looked down at the symbol and to confirm that it was an uncommon before I made the statement that, yeah, they probably shouldn't have printed this at uncommon, it should be a common. And I see rare, and I'm like, I have to go take a walk. That's why I was so confused during the werewolf one. I literally left the room for a little bit to go vent about this.
Yeah, why'd you left Heather in chest?
Like, yeah, that card is horrible. I could make a 30-minute video on why I dislike this card.
Alright, you heard the next podcast idea.
If there are enough comments, I will do that. I will make
Thank you guys for listening to our lovely little podcast. If you
little,
saw
it's 2
something that we
hours.
missed
3, I think.
or want us to continue talking about this very bad card, please put something in the comments explaining otherwise. After that, everyone have a good day. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye. Wow, that sure was a lot of information about the new cards. If you notice there's a card that we didn't mention and you think we should have, please leave us a comment. We'd love to hear it. If you liked what you heard, the best way to support us is to like, comment, subscribe, share us with your friends, all that good jazz. We do have a Patreon if you want to support, but you don't have to. If you're listening on a podcast platform, we would, and liked what you listened to, we would appreciate you going and checking out our YouTube channel. We do live gameplay stream over Cockatrice, and we also do gameplay that we then script and edit to make it easier to follow. And with all that being said, thank you for tuning in, and we will be uploading another one of these shortly. I don't know quite what the schedule is. It's going to be a little hectic with me going to school, but yeah, thank you for listening, and with that, I'm out of here. Peace.